Hello, Voices of Wrestling listener. Dave Ryan here. Have you ever wondered to yourself how many hidden gems are hidden away inside the last years of World Championship Wrestling? Have you ever asked yourself how many tenuous gags can be made about the name Mike Enos? And have you ever thought about what it sounds like for two Irishmen to interpret a very chaotic company through its B show? The answers to all this and more are just a click away. Check out Days of Thunder every second Thursday on the Voices of Wrestling podcast network.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
What do you guys want to talk about?
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
What has being annoying stopped you ever?
That's an excellent point. An excellent point. That's part of the charm.
Rich Crage.
And I'm allowed to be a work rate nerd for the G1. I just want them to have great matches and kill themselves. I don't care. It's not my body. I just want to watch great matches.
Stop yelling at me. I agree.
And we are live on the Flagship Podcast. I am Rich. He is Joe. Joe, what is happening? How are you?
You know, when we left everyone following the Tuesday edition of the Flagship, which people can hear exclusively on the $5 tier on the Flagship Patreon, 3 straight Tuesday Flagships in a row, by the way. 3 straight weeks in a row where there was a special Tuesday edition of the Flagship. But when we left the listeners on Tuesday, it appeared that you and I both agreed that the WWE had successfully finessed their way into what looked like was going to be a very successful scenario. They got The Rock versus Roman Reigns as their WrestleMania main event, which The Rock being involved would get them far more media attention than Cody could, and would get far more eyeballs on the event itself than Cody could. I think everybody would agree. And at the same time, managed to make Cody incredibly sympathetic and drum up this groundswell of support for him and make Cody even hotter than arguably he's ever been, and undoubtedly hotter than he was the day he won the Royal Rumble. So it appeared to be a win-win for the company. Bigger main event, more eyeballs on the show. Cody is hotter than ever. Fans are quote-unquote outraged, but we know they're not going anywhere.
Right. They're getting attention. They're bringing signs. They're tweeting. They're talking. They're looking at videos. They're watching videos. They're sharing videos. It was a dynamic weekend for them.
And the whole deal felt bigger than it did before The Rock got involved. So we both concluded and agreed that they've done it again, Rich. They somehow finessed this and turned what on the surface may have looked like something that could have backfired, and it looked like a massive win-win for them. Now tonight, we have this media event.
Press event. It was a press event. Free to attend press event delivered by Pizza Hut. Nobody out-pizzas the Hut.
Free to attend, fans and press. That part's important, press. Although if you wanted to, if you were so inclined, for $500 or $1,500, you could purchase a credential. A media credential. Any fan could do that. Any media member could do that. And you get to sit in the front row of the press event. You get a signed weight belt from Cody. You get to have a cocktail with your favorite WWE superstar, right? So we have this press event, and these members of the media who paid their own way to fly out to Las Vegas today. This was in Las Vegas, correct, Rich?
This is in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. And let me tell you, it was a packed house there.
Yes.
AEW would kill to have this house.
Yeah. It was free. It wasn't free, to be fair.
It was indeed free, but it is Super Bowl weekend. But still, yeah.
Here's the thing. Shouldn't have been free because these animals would have paid to get in.
Anyway, that's what I'm saying. They could have charged $5 a head and probably had the exact same crowd.
So we'll get to the press in a minute. Let's save the press aspect.
Yeah, they got time. They got time. Yeah, we got.
I have a few choice words for our
our friends,
for our fraternity members in the in the wrestling media. Rich, you're never going to believe it, but the content creators are at it again. Rich.
Oh no,
they're at it again.
Not the content creators in this space. Are they at it again in this space?
In this space, they're at it again, and I would think I saw a lot of the same faces that we saw at the Rumble, and paying their own way to go out to Vegas for this
on the Super Bowl
event.
Joe, it's the weekend of the Super Bowl, and they flew to the place where the Super Bowl is.
Rich, press event. They flew their own way out again. I saw a lot of the same faces. Now we'll get to them. I don't want to skip ahead.
Right.
I would think that these esteemed members of the press would be incensed that they flew on their own dime all the way to Vegas to essentially watch a Raw segment play out on a stage.
Yeah, to watch a pay-per-view pre-show and then a Raw segment.
To watch a Raw segment play out on a stage and then, that's it, folks. Everybody hit the bricks. Glad you came. I would think that they're all going to be incensed. I'm probably going to be wrong. They're probably all posting their content and claiming they had a swell time. But we'll get to the feckless wrestling media. They're not the top story here. The top story here is the Raw segment that played out on the stage, which is it's essentially what this was. This is not a press event. There were no questions. This is not a press conference. I don't know why they invented the well, I know why they invited the
free
press.
Promotion. They get free promotion out of the media people that traveled across the country the week of the Super Bowl, where the Super Bowl is taking place, with a week's notice, and flew out to cover this thing.
Now, if they have another one of these things and any of these people go again, they deserve what they get.
Right.
They're absolute fools. But these are not serious people, Rich. We know that these are not serious people. But let's get to what occurred here. So as we said, last we spoke to everybody on Tuesday on the Tuesday edition of the Flagship, available exclusively on the $5 tier on flagshippatreon.com. 3 weeks worth of Tuesday Flagship. So much news, we have to do 2 a week now. As I said, when we left, it looked like WWE had finessed themselves into a great situation.
Everybody was hotter.
In my view.
Yeah, Cody was hotter than ever. The Rock had just injected himself into the thing, and the crowd was loving him. Roman looked like even bigger of a heel because he's out there cutting promos on people and bad-mouthing everybody or whatever. It was that segment on Friday. I know that some people might say, oh, it was a disaster, but it couldn't have played out better for them in the wake of what happened there. Because you have everybody getting mad about Cody, whether actual mad, fake mad, whatever. It didn't matter to them. They were getting people that were, engaged with the product and interested in that. You had The Rock, who certain segments of fans were upset about, but by and large, most of your normal fans were fine. And we said, again, on Tuesday that the reason The Rock's in there is that you can bring him to Sports Center. You can bring him to First Take. You can put him he can do all those press junkets, every single thing. And it's a lot better. And the media looks a lot better if you say that The Rock is in the WrestleMania main event against Roman Reigns. So it made all the sense in the world that they would want to promote that. Cody was hotter than ever, getting a groundswell of people, excited about him and the We Want Cody movement and stuff. And Seth Rollins, hey, he is also a WWE superstar. That's what I could say about Seth Rollins for sure. But
listen, the point here is they had the fans in the palm of their hands 48 hours ago.
Mm-hmm. And it had three guys as hot as they've been in this company in quite some time.
Right. And they totally finessed the situation when The Rock, decided in early January he wanted to participate in WrestleMania, throwing all of their plans awry. I thought they finessed their way into a win-win situation, and that's where we left 48 hours ago. Rich, after I watch this thing tonight, and I will get your take, because I've done a lot of talking, so I'm going to step aside for you in a minute. My take on it was, how long was that segment? 20 minutes, 30 minutes? Let's call it a half hour.
Yeah, the whole thing was about hour and a half. I want to say 90 minutes for the entire thing. I unfortunately watched a lot of them.
I mean the Raw segment.
Yes, right. Not the PLE pre-show that played out in front of for the first hour.
I mean when the four WWE superstars were out there for the main event players. I feel like
the three of them. The 3 minute stars.
Well. I guess it's four. I mean, because anyway, we'll get to it. I feel like in a matter of 30 minutes, they managed to cool off all four of the people that were on that stage to varying degrees. So, what an accomplishment to somehow go from you finessed your way to a giant win with an ugly situation to we leave this thing with more questions than answers, which is by design because they want to drag this on and draw ratings and all of that. We understand that. But more importantly, I feel like everything that all the wins they collected 48 hours ago are out the window. And I feel like all four of the people involved are worse off in this moment than they were, an hour ago before this event took place. And I think that's astounding that they managed to trip over their own dicks and blow a good thing here. And I don't know whether it was a pivot based on some feedback they've gotten internally over that, or whether this was the plan all along. But I don't know. This felt like a big old miss to me. Rich Craich, the floor is yours.
Disaster, an absolute disaster. We went into this, thinking that we would have a lot of clarity, or at least a little bit more clarity on what the WrestleMania main event was going to be, or maybe the 2-night main event. And a lot of people thought as the groundswell was kind of happening with the We Want Cody stuff, and it felt like the WWE themselves were kind of pivoting a little bit, and it obviously became part of the story. And you have, talents and people from the outside world of their, connected media tweeting stuff about Cody and We Want Cody and all that sort of stuff. It felt like to me, and I even said on Tuesday, like I am of the belief that at some point pretty soon we're going to get the pivot of whether it be a 3-way match with Cody, Roman, and The Rock, or we're going to get the 2-night thing where on night 1, Cody and Roman are going to face each other, and then, it'll be Rock and Roman for the next night, or whatever way you want to do it. If you want to do Rock Roman on night 1, Roman beats him, and then night 2 is Cody Roman. That whatever you want to do. It always to me, I always thought The Rock was going to be main eventing on the Sunday show because that's the bigger show anyway. But whatever way they were going to do it, it was like, all right, that's their job to figure this out. But I think I know what direction they're kind of going in. And then
we thought that they could. We thought there was a chance that they could pivot to something else that wouldn't necessarily be Rock versus Roman. Maybe, like you said, the 2 nights or a 3-way something. But who saw a tag team match?
And then,
I don't think any of us. But
so then
anyway,
we have this just bizarre segment. So you if never watch this thing again. It's on YouTube. Never watch it ever again. It's an hour of a PLE pre-show of people just kind of going just Big E, CM Punk, Michael Cole, and Pat McAfee just kind of just vomiting into microphones for an hour. Doesn't matter. Skip it all. Then the real segment comes. You get Triple H, who's just kind of playing up to the crowd by naming past WWE superstars, just saying the names of people that are going to get cheers, which I got fair play to him. But then what played out was what you have to describe it as an absolute disaster. Just an absolute wild disaster of what's going on. What am I watching? Are they pretending that? Because what essentially happens is The Rock comes out, Roman comes out, and then, they're talking back and forth, and The Rock's, getting booed a little bit and stuff, and he's talking about the family tree and the Cody crybabies. That's the thing he's kind of started today, and talking about, hey, if you don't believe that this is the biggest match in the WrestleMania, your opinion doesn't matter or whatever. So we got a little bit of Rock with the edge. And we saw that on the McAfee interview that he did earlier today, that The Rock was maybe going to pivot to having a little bit more of an edge and not just be a smiley, happy little baby face. But that's okay. You're like, all right, well, this again makes sense for Cody to come out and say, no, okay, hold on a minute. I gave you this spot, but now you're not really appreciating what I did for you. Now I want my spot back type of thing. And then The Rock goes, well, hold on a minute. No. And then we do, like I said, the 3-way match or the 2 nights thing, or hey, we have a way to solve this. I'll face him on this night. You face him on that night or whatever. Then essentially what happens is Cody comes out and just says, I'm going to finish my story. It's me versus Roman at WrestleMania. And the crowd goes, yeah. And then The Rock just goes, hey, you can't do that. And then he slaps him and then it's over. And it's like, okay, so now we're under the assumption that it is Roman versus Cody, and they're tweeting out it's Roman versus Cody, Roman versus Cody. Are we just pretending Friday didn't happen? Right? Are we just pretending that, because this makes Cody look like the absolute biggest buffoon in the world, because not that long ago, how many days ago? Friday? 6 days ago, 7 days ago, when most of you guys listen to this, Cody came out here and had all the opportunity to determine the WrestleMania main event, which he said at this presser, I have the ability to determine the WrestleMania main event. And he said the same thing on Friday, and he said, you know what? It's going to be The Rock versus you at WrestleMania. Okay, I'm out. Bye. And now here on this Thursday, he comes out and goes, I have the chance to determine the WrestleMania main event, and it's me versus Roman. And I'm just wondering if we're just going to pretend that Friday never happened, if we're going to try to explain that at all, but it made Cody look like a goofball. The Rock comes across like an absolute asshole. Roman's just kind of in the corner smiling, and then Seth's like way in the corner, like way out there, and it's like, oh yeah, Seth Rollins is involved in this too. And then he comes out to like stop a shoving match afterwards, and you're left going like, what the fuck are we doing? Are we doing a tag match, or what is this? What have you done to this story? Why have you fucked this story up so much and made Cody look like a buffoon? The Rock looks like an asshole. Roman looks like he's just kind of in the background, like, I don't know. I mean, Roman feels like a non-factor. He just feels like a complete non-entity in this entire thing.
Let me tell you how my read on Roman after all this is how much more charismatic The Rock is than him.
Oh, he's eating him alive.
Like, The Rock, and with them sort of being paired up by the end of it, the only thing that I can think about as I watch is, oh my God, The Rock is he just swallows Roman. Roman is like, I don't even want to call him like a little brother in this scenario, but that's maybe the best comp I can come up with now. He feels like Rock's little brother or a little stoogey, because The Rock's charisma and star power just completely engulfs Roman Reigns, especially so when it's like they're being paired together now.
Right. And now it feels like, okay, the real superstar is here now.
The real star.
I'm here now.
And it's funny because they had both Rock Roman, which would have been, to me, the biggest match they could do. They had Cody versus Roman, which was the match they'd been building to for 2 years, and a match that obviously a lot of their fans wanted. And then we come out of this press event, and to me, the hottest potential singles match coming out of it was Cody versus Rock.
Yes.
How the fuck did that happen?
I don't know. Right.
And that's the one singles match we're guaranteed not to get. Like, you have no chance of getting that singles match at WrestleMania based on what we saw tonight. But that all of a sudden felt like the biggest match because, as we just said, Roman kind of felt small.
Yeah.
And that's not often that he's felt larger than life during this entire Bloodline run, or the majority of it. Tonight on that stage, he felt small, and it felt like Rock Cody was the play. And instead of Rock Roman, which we thought we were going to get, instead of Roman Cody, which we thought we were going to get all along, and instead of Cody Rock, which feels like the obvious match now, we might be getting a tag team match for some reason. This is just this is what I'm saying. Everyone came out of this looking worse than they did a half hour before it started.
And Seth looks like the biggest fucking geek. I mean, Rollins is just like, can somebody face me at WrestleMania? They're like, yeah, okay. Like, go over there.
On that stage, nobody wants to wrestle him.
Right. He's like, can somebody please fight me for my title? And they're like, all right, pipe down.
Nobody cares about his title. Roman is just emasculating him up there, with ribbon on the square, because it's within kayfabe, so he can get away with it, but he's just tearing the guy down.
Yeah.
He's telling Cody, it's a done deal. I'm facing The Rock. You can go challenge for the B title. Second tier players over on that side of the stage.
And he's there, and he's on that stage.
And the guy's standing there.
The guy's on that stage.
He's the world champion of the company. It doesn't matter. Like, everyone knows it's the cuck title. They should have had a little cuck chair out there for him. He should have just
sat in a little
hotel chair. Yeah, he should have sat in a little chair and took out his fucking little wiener and fucking masturbated while the other 3 stars were talking, because that's essentially how that all played out. You know, I know you can please me quite well. But, he came off like a complete goof. A complete goof. No one came at it as hotter than it started. And that's not the intent. We came out with a ton of questions. And because I'll tell you this, I don't think The Rock got booed as hard as they were hoping he would, because he was out there trying to get heat.
Oh, he was leaning so far into it too, trying to get the fans. I mean, he tried so bad to get the what chance. He tried to get, I mean, he was trying like hell to be The Rock, the heel. Booed. He got booed. Oh, no doubt.
But he got, like, half that place was behind him.
Yeah. Cody sucks chance and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go Rocky. Rocky sucks. And he got enormous cheers when he came out. And then when he did his audience participation promo, all the lemming WWE fans, they just love to do the crowd participation stuff. And they were all, and when he did the Ed Millions and then Ed Million, and then they're all doing it like, he didn't get booed to the extent that it felt like he wanted to be booed. And then Cody, when Cody came out, he got a nice little pop, but it wasn't like the roof blowing off the building pop that you expected him to get. So Rock didn't get booed as hard as I think he wanted to get booed, and he was trying his hardest to get booed super hard. And Cody didn't get the level of pop that I thought Cody would have got. You know why? Because people were fucking confused. They didn't know how to react to any of this. It was all very confusing to them. They've been told, like, they've hinted or told them about 3 different main events at this point. 4, if you want to throw in, Cody and Seth. There's get the tag match, Cody, Seth, Rock, Roman, and Cody, Roman. These fans don't know what the fuck they're getting. And they didn't know what they were getting in the moment. So they didn't know how to react to anything. They didn't know this was a mess. And, I know there's a lot of time between now and WrestleMania. It's going to play out on Raw. It's going to play out on SmackDown. And who knows what the end result's going to be. Maybe it'll be the tag match on night 1. And then Cody and Roman on night 2. At least that's where we stand now. 2 days ago, it was going to be The Rock versus Roman.
This style of telling a big match story rarely works, though. You know what I mean? Just establish what the fucking match is going to be and build to that match.
Fucking match and build it.
Right. Show some fucking guts and book a match and build to that thing and make it the biggest match you can make it for the biggest show of the year. This tiptoeing around it.
And they had 2 matches that were essentially layups. And they should have just picked one and ran hard with it. And now the weird thing is there's a 3rd match that isn't even really in play that feels hotter than both of those matches now. Because I don't know how you come out of that not thinking that Cody versus Rock is the match. Fuck, maybe it will be. Maybe
who knows? Who fucking knows, man? It's wild. And there was a little bit of a backstage segment. I don't know if you saw, but there was a backstage segment where The Rock went up to Paul Levesque and said, fix this, or whatever. And Paul's just like, you gotta, so now they're baby facing Levesque. And so I guess the company is the baby face in this case, and they're going to back Cody, and The Rock and Roman are the bloodline heels. Like, how did you turn The Rock into a bloodline aligned? The whole story I've been telling since the day 1 of the bloodline is that The Rock wants to beat Roman and take over the bloodline, and now he's cutting a promo saying, hey, pal, that's my bloodline too, man. Don't be talking shit about don't be talking shit about my guys and Roman or whatever. So now you've completely... That story that you have been building since day fucking 1 with the bloodline and the Roman Reigns thing, the thing that you wanted to do 3 WrestleManias ago, 2 WrestleManias ago, all these WrestleManias ago, you wanted The Rock to show up and face Roman Reigns for that head of the table, and now it's like loosely The Rock and Roman are aligned. Like, how do you do that? How do we go from where we were Friday to now today The Rock and Roman are like buddies, sort of. They have a common enemy that they're going to take on. What are you doing? What? It's not going to matter, though. That's the fucking problem. It never goddamn matters with this company. And everyone's going to say, oh, this is genius. Oh, it's unbelievable. They have so many hot stories, I can tell now. But it's just... Oh, this type of stuff rarely works. I know that they think it's going to be interesting to have, oh my God, what's the match going to be? What's the match going to be? What's the match going to be? I honestly, for your big time show... Just book a fucking match and build to that match.
Let's not forget that Cody got paintbrushed and, emasculated as well. He got slapped in the face and didn't really get any revenge for it. I know they had to pull apart, but did you hear? Did you see the stuff backstage with Rock and Paul Levesque?
Yeah, I talked about that. Right? Yeah, that's I said they're basically baby facing the company and Triple H now.
Right. Did you see the stuff with Punk where he basically took his shots at AEW and the Bucks. Did you see that?
I did see that. Yeah. He paraphrased, but he said, I wouldn't, if somebody slapped me in the face, I wouldn't, be able to restrain myself. I'd go out there and rip their eyes out or whatever, even if I only had one arm.
One arm.
Yeah.
Strongly implying that he got slapped in the face in that room and he tore people apart with one arm. The other thing he said was something that he had said privately a million times during that whole AEW debacle, suspension, post brawl out and everything. He literally got to say it on camera where he said, and again, paraphrasing, when men have issues, they should just have a fist fight and work it out. That's how real men take care of things. And he had a lot of passion behind what he was saying because he really believes that. That's something, and I've spoken about this on the air. That's something that he has told people and was telling people during his suspension. Like, I don't understand why men can't just have a fight and then be done with it and move on. And, we fought, we got it out of our systems. We solve your problems through beating the shit out of each other. Like, he believes in that, like, for real. Like, that wasn't CM Punk the character out there tonight talking about that. That's one of his, like, real credos. He's like, I don't know, you just fucking fight. And then you're bros, real old school fucking toxic masculinity, uber masculine shit. But and he got a chance to let it all out tonight, and say some things that have some plausible deniability when it comes to the bevy of NDAs that they're all being held to when it comes to that stuff. So just a fascinating train wreck, confusion filled night. I mean, what a weird thing that whole deal was. And now I see it does appear they've got some of the WWE superstars available for some questions from this assembled press that went out there. So at least they're getting something out of it. But I don't know if any of, I don't know if Levesque is available. I don't know if they're going to expose themselves to more lawsuit questions or anything like that. So really no point in asking Jade Cargill about these sorts of things. No. But yeah, so I do see Jade Cargill out there in some tweets, fielding some questions in front of the Pizza Hut logo. So there you go. I did see, a lot of the same faces that we saw at the Rumble flew themselves out to this one too. Rich, these content creators, maybe we have it all wrong and they are making millions and millions of dollars, because how are they flying themselves all over the country to go to these things? And then, like, what's the return on investment? Like, what are you getting out of these trips where you're flying to Las Vegas Super Bowl weekend, to take vertical phone footage of Jane Cargill answering softball questions to put on your little YouTube page? Like, how much money are you possibly getting? Am I the one that's off base here?
No, you're not. And especially these people who presumably then paid additional on top of the plane ticket, paid either $500 or $1,500 or whatever to be part of additional parts of this. I don't know, because I'll tell you, even if you said, hey, Rich, this would be a really good opportunity if you got out there, I'd be like, I don't know if I can afford to, like, on a week's notice, fly out to Las Vegas for this WWE press event and then also pay for a $500 lanyard or whatever. I'm like, I don't know. And ultimately, like, there's no, like you said, there's zero return on investment. So I don't know, man. It is,
maybe they're going to write some hard hitting stories when they get back to their hometowns. You think they're going to all write some hard hitting stories, and they're going to uncover some truths maybe about the lawsuit? Or,
run back to their hotel rooms, just get working. Get a coffee on the way back, and just
put on the visor and the puffy sleeve shirt and just start typing.
Just burn the midnight oil. Getting down to brass tacks, figuring this all out.
The nitty gritty.
Yeah, sure.
Perhaps that's what's going to happen.
Perhaps it will. Perhaps.
Or we're going to ask Jade Cargill what it was like to participate in the Royal Rumble match. Right.
Right.
The Royal Rumble match.
How excited were you to participate in the Royal Rumble match?
Right. Yeah. Just, I don't know. So that's the press event. And I guess,
hey, we got it.
Questions and answers.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, can we now, I know that WWE is tweeting out that it's Roman versus Cody, but
they tweeted out it was Rock Roman.
Yeah, so
the difference doesn't matter.
Just stay tuned to Monday Night Raw for more. At some point, this has got to turn on them, right? At some point, this has got to blow up in their face, right? Right? No, it
I mean, are they really going to do that tag match? Who wants that?
I love Seth getting in there at the end. Hey, hold on, bring it out. Come on.
Yeah, like, why is he even getting involved in
get
the
out of here. Right? All three of them should turn around and be like, shut up, Seth. And he's like, okay, fine.
Okay, so all right, I know we're doing a lot of goofing, okay?
They deserve it. What? They deserve the goofing.
No, I know we're doing a lot of goofing on it, but let's really try to break this down.
Okay.
None of this makes sense. Like you said earlier.
We've retconned Friday. Friday just didn't exist, I guess.
Cody just looks like a complete buffoon. He goes out there Friday and gives the match to The Rock, and then he comes out and changes his mind and says, I'm the one who decides, and I'm facing Roman Reigns. Well, I guess the idea is he changed his mind because The Rock is kind of like being a cocky douche about things. Is that the idea?
Well, too damn bad, man. You shook his hand, hugged him, and got out of the ring. I think that's it.
No, but I'm saying from the story, is that the story they're telling?
I guess the story is, that The Rock isn't like quite appreciating first off, I'm telling their story for them because they didn't say that. Cody didn't say, hey, Rock, I haven't really, appreciated the way that you've acted since I gave you this golden opportunity. So you know what? I still have the opportunity to decide what the main event of WrestleMania is going to be, and I'm going to finish the story, yada, yada, all that sort of stuff. He just came out and was basically like, I have the ability to determine the WrestleMania main event. And it's like, yeah, you did on Friday, but then you shook the guy's hand, hugged him, and then left the ring. So are we supposed to assume this man has like split personality disorder, or
I think the idea is supposed to be The Rock that Cody.
Well, tell that story then. Tell that story.
I think he graciously stepped aside, and now he feels like The Rock is being a douchebag. So he's like, no, I changed my mind. But it's like,
that's not really babyface behavior, though, because the babyface behavior would be like, you know what, Rock, I haven't really appreciated what you did. I gave you that spot. So what I want you to do is, how about on night one of WrestleMania, you and I face each other, and if I beat you, I get Roman on night two, and if you beat me, you get Roman on night two. That's what a real story would be, Paul. If you had some free, not just. I
thought maybe they would do both matches and do a three-way.
Right.
I was waiting for the three-way, and they might do both of those things. Those things, I guess, are still on the table, but I don't mean, I guess not to channel an old classic Seinfeld episode, and because I don't want to get myself canceled for the ninth time, but it's kind of, Cody, you can't like give somebody something and then just decide you want it back. Right? Like,
right. He comes across like a complete goofball. He either comes across as a goofball, an idiot, or just an asshole. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, sorry, I thought about it all weekend, and I don't really want. I kind of want to face Roman instead. Sorry. It's like he either comes across like a goofball who got completely emasculated by The Rock, and then decided, okay, you're not being very nice, so I'm going to take my toy back, or he's just an idiot who didn't realize he gave the guy the toy and is like, actually, I want that toy back if I can have it. It's just
the bottom line is he looks like a dope.
No, there's no way that he comes across good. Like I said, the way that he can come across good is he can come out there and say, The Rock, Rock, I've been hearing the fans, and you called him, Cody crybabies and that sort of stuff, and you're not being appreciative of the immense opportunity that I gave you. He threw in that one little line about you guys are the head of the table, but I've been doing all the cooking, which also just kind of makes you come across kind of like a goof, right? Like,
yeah.
Because they're like, oh, well, yeah, you're kind of a dumbass. You've been hanging around all the time, getting hurt and doing all that sort of stuff. We just kind of come in and we're in the WrestleMania main event. So, I don't know. Good for you.
Make my dinner, bitch. Yeah, right, it's like.
Right. I'm glad you said that because I was watching with the nurse and she goes, well, Cody's just a house bitch then, right? He's just like I was like, you said it, nurse, not me. You said it. But she's like, she was like, wow, he comes across like completely like a bitch here, just being like, well, you're at the head of the table, but I cooked the dinner. It's like, okay, cool. All
right, so we agreed that. Yeah, and that's one of the things that makes Cody look worse than he did.
Right. If he steps up, I'm fully in favor. If he steps up and says, Rock, I gave you this opportunity, but I haven't liked the way you've acted recently, and you know what? I can't give back. I can't tell you to give it back to me because I gave it to you. But you know what we can do? If you're up for it, night one of WrestleMania, you face me. And prove to me that you belong in this WrestleMania event. Prove to me that I did the right thing, in giving you the WrestleMania main event. I did the right thing to let you finish the story, and I delayed my. But we'll face each other on night one, and then I know you want to do that because you don't want The Rock to wrestle back-to-back nights or whatever. But like, I don't know, that's better than him just coming out and just pretending that he had like amnesia, and Friday we're just going to pretend didn't happen or whatever. Or like you said, the idea that he thinks Rock's being a douchebag, but then say that. You got to tell that little bit of the story. This is the storytelling company, Joe, right? Isn't this company that tells stories? AEW just has guys no sell, and this is the that's what they do with tell their stories. They just book cool matches and have guys no sell. This is the company that tells stories. Can you at least maybe then try to tell the fucking story here? And the story not be Cody has amnesia and we just forgot that Friday existed?
They're also doing like this meta thing because Triple H said that The Rock went into business for himself. Well, what does that mean? That the rest of it was kayfabe and bullshit and a work? Does that mean the rest of it was a work? And then The Rock went into business for himself and ruined their fun little press event where everything was a work. So they're starting to get a little meta with it too. The other piece is again, try to make sense of why Rollins would be involved in this or angry by the end of it for any reason. Like, why is he getting involved in the shoving match? How does that fit into whatever this fucking
He just
story
really
is
wants somebody to face him for his title. The man is going to wrestle with a torn meniscus. He's wrestling while hurt and just so badly wants one person to accept his challenge, and nobody wants to accept his challenge, and nobody wants his dopey title. Is that even
the story though? I don't even think that's the story.
It's absolutely the story. Yeah, he's trying to. He's been cutting promos.
He's trying to get Cody.
He was trying to get Cody. Yeah. He was trying to get Cody. I mean, now I don't know what he's trying to do.
Doesn't that make him stupid?
Yes.
Because I know in AEW right now, Samoa Joe's annoyed. Samoa Joe thought that because of the draw, and we'll get to that later, that he wouldn't have an opponent. And he's like, great. I get the pay-per-view off. Then he found out it's a three-way and he's annoyed. That sounds like a smart champion. Why would Seth want to face someone? I don't understand. That doesn't. But the thing with Seth is, I still can't tell whether he's a babyface or a heel half the time, because what the fuck is he supposed to be? He's not likable, but I think he's a babyface. What the fuck is he?
I believe he's a babyface. Right? Yeah, I think at this point he's a babyface. He still kind of dresses like an asshole though, so I guess I understand why you might be a little confused, but I believe he is a babyface right now. And that's the idea that he's a babyface fighting champion with the real world title or whatever. And that's all well and good if you have a lot of challengers that want to face you for the real world title and want to, main event WrestleMania and face you. But the problem is he's just like asking people to face him and nobody wants to face him. So then he's just kind of sitting in his corner. Yeah. Just kind of sitting in his corner.
And then he's mad when Rock slaps Cody, but why? Like, what's he mad about? And then he gets involved in the brawl. Like, yeah, this is allegedly the company that. I guess it's
the idea that because Roman's bad mouthing him and his title, so he's got beef with Roman.
That's not when he got mad. He got mad when Rock slapped Cody.
Look, ask Paul. I don't know.
Yeah, this sucks. This just fucking sucks.
Stupid.
Yeah, we spent all Tuesday putting them over for getting something done.
Yeah, well, it couldn't last long. Yeah, you knew it couldn't last.
Yeah, this sucks. So I don't know. I guess maybe now there's some people saying they could do the tag match in Australia, but I don't think Roman or The Rock are doing that fucking 18-hour flight.
You think The Rock is going to come back for the first time for a legit match that he's had in because I'm not counting the Eric Rowan thing or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there was the one time where he came in and rock bottom Eric Rowan. We're talking like, was that 2013, 2012? Last time, 2013, right? Was the last time
the Cena matches, right?
Yeah, the last one was 2013, right? Let me make sure I have that right.
See, let me pull this up here.
Yeah, but he's not doing it at 4 a.m. in Perth, Australia, right? Like that's not happening.
Rock. Yeah.
2013. Yeah, I'm not counting the Eric Rowan 6-minute I do a couple rock bottoms to you match. That wasn't a match. That was just a thing. But 2013, WrestleMania XXIX. I forget what was the logo, because I think they had gone to logos by that point. I don't know if it was WrestleMania Play Button or WrestleMania Statue of Liberty or whatever.
That's 29, if you're wondering.
Yes. I don't know. That they just did WrestleMania and then it just had the New York skyline on it or whatever. So I think that's the first one they stopped doing the Roman numerals. But so that his last legit match is 2013. So 11 years ago, the man last wrestled a match. He is not returning to WWE for the first time ever to team with Roman Reigns in Perth, Australia at 4 a.m. on Peacock. He's just not. It's the same people trying to cope with, I got it. The Rock's going to face Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber. No, he is not. He's not going to go to Perth, Australia and wrestle at 4 a.m. to lose to Roman Reigns to set up Roman and Cody at WrestleMania. I know that the WWE universe thought that would be the possibility. That was never going to be the possibility.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Who fucking knows? Who cares?
They can't trot a tag match out there, right? I mean, they can't do that, right?
I suppose you could do it for night 1, I guess.
Oh, come on. It's a wet fart, man.
That's the wettest of farts. Yeah, nobody wants that.
Who could possibly care?
Well, like I said, again, like you've told this story for years and years and years of The Rock versus Roman, and now they're just going to come out together and like, you know, and I guess you could tell the story that they're not quite getting along or whatever, but we don't need any other pretense. They've been doing this fucking story for 4 years, basically. The whole bloodline thing is you don't need the extra pretense of them having a tag team can they coexist match. You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah. Like what the last thing on earth we need is a can they coexist match between The Rock and Roman, but maybe that's what they're going to do the tag match on night 1 and then night 2. I guess Roman and Cody. I don't know. I thought we would know, and we don't know. And a bunch of people paid money thinking they would know, and now they don't know either. So I don't know. Imagine flying yourself out to Las Vegas, and the end result is like, I don't know.
You fly yourself out to Las Vegas to watch a Raw segment.
Yeah. And the answer you get is,
my God.
We'll see. See you on Monday. I don't know.
It's some corny ass 1-act play out in front of you, and then we still don't really know what the hell's happening. I mean,
you got to cheer though when Paul Levesque said Mick Foley. You went, yeah.
Well, the fans that went for free, I'm sure they had a blast. I mean, that's fine, but man, but they'll fly out to the next one.
Yeah, they'll
fly out to the next one. They'll be there. Yeah. All right. Well. Guess we'll do it again next week.
Guess so.
SmackDown's tomorrow, Rich.
Yeah.
The next step in this fantastic story, I guess.
Yeah, Drew Hall just said, spent $2,500 to let it play out. Really, you did.
Who said that?
Drew Hall in the No Dopes chat room. Just said, quote, yeah. Spent $2,500 to let it play out.
Right. Exactly.
And willingly and happy and very happy, probably.
And how was this a press event? It was just a 1-act play that played out in front of you that they did here instead of Raw.
I don't know.
I mean, is it possible? Is it possible that this convoluted what's going to happen stuff can make the event hotter than it would have been otherwise?
I don't think. I think that people might pretend it does, but I really don't know if it ever does.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like they had a winning formula already, and
because now they're jerking you around a little too much. Now there's a little too much going on here, where it's just I don't know. It just seems a little. I have a terrible read on like what current level WWE fans like these days, so I'm not sure anymore. But man, I don't know. Now it feels like this is going to get all the wrong and more weird attention. I don't know though, but like I said, I don't have a good read on current WWE fans or the current media. They might be saying, "What a masterful! Oh, I can't believe we're back to where."
Okay, well, here's the thing: they can't take Cody Roman away from them again.
And exactly, and that's kind of my next point I was going to say is that
match is happening.
We can't jerk this around anymore. We can't somehow pretend that Cody and Roman isn't going to happen now, because now you're really playing with fire here. I feel like that has to be locked in, and if you wanted to do Rock Roman, you can do that, but maybe it's got to be on a different night or whatever.
Yeah. So that match is happening. The question is the other match really just going to be that dopey tag? And is our finger off the pulse? Is that something WWE fans are going to eat up, that tag match? I can't imagine you watched all that and thought to yourself, man, I really want to watch that tag. I can't imagine.
Well, like you said, the only match I want to see after that press event is Cody versus The Rock. That sounds awesome right now.
Absolutely.
If they promoted the upcoming PLE, which I guess is Elimination Chamber or whatever, and said Cody versus The Rock, I'd be like, hell yeah, let's do it. That sounds great.
Yeah.
That's the match they built. That's the match that I think is very clearly the hottest match coming out of this press event, which I don't think that's what you were going for, because like you said, that's the match they probably are not going to give us at all. It's who knows, man. This is wild. Yeah, Bones on the Noto chat room brings up a great point. What inning is this? Because we're always in innings with this Bloodline story. I don't know what inning we're in.
So we're getting reports. There's some tweets floating around. Some of the media members are saying that they were not. Here's this guy, Adrian Hernandez at Adrian Radio 93. Let me see what this guy does and who.
Let's make sure he's got a real. Some real credentials.
Radio host. His banner picture is interviewing Bianca Belair at some event.
Okay.
He is got a lot of ats here. At the Bet Las Vegas, at Sporting Trib. He's got some places that he obviously does content for. Point here is he just put out a tweet saying, and I quote, "I was not selected to do one-on-one interviews after this presser. I also wrote down, quote, to give people grace, end quote, in my 2024 goals. So this is my only tweet about it." So this is a man who, I guess, flew himself. No, it looks like he's from Las Vegas.
Okay.
So at least he didn't have to fly himself out there. But the point here is he's obviously not the only one. He's clearly annoyed that he wasn't selected to do interviews, but he's taking the high road by, giving this little quote of his that he wants to give people more grace in 2024. But the point here is
Nick Hausman had a similar thing as well. He flew himself out to Las Vegas today, showed up, and then I think he tweeted out like, I was told I would not be able to ask any questions or whatever, so I'm just turning around and going home.
Yeah, he turned around, flew home, which is both, I have to say, good for him, and also it's impossible not to laugh at him at the same time.
Yeah, and I hate Las Vegas. You know that. Las Vegas is my least favorite town. Yeah. I'll find something to do for a night in Las Vegas. You know what I mean?
I mean, geez, you fly yourself out there, okay? You find out you can't talk to fucking whoever the fuck, and you're just going to turn around and go home? I mean...
Yeah, I hate that town. I don't like that town at all. I'd find something to do in Las Vegas. I get a cheap hotel, play the tables, maybe make up for that plane ticket you paid for. Maybe you could
play the tables.
Right? Is that what the kids call it?
I could see Rich
doing my roulettes, putting $20 on black, and then switching
Rich
it to
Rich crawling the floor of the Luxor looking for a $5 table because he's an absolute cheapskate.
Absolutely,
I could totally see that, and lamenting that the cheapest tables are $20.
Yep.
And just shaking his head and saying this is ridiculous.
And then maybe throw down a 20 and on odd and even on the roulette wheel and do that for about 20 minutes, and then go, okay, this is stupid. I'm leaving. I'm up $40. I should probably cash out. It's over. That's kind of my. Or I find a good penny slot and spend about 10 minutes there, and then say, okay, I'm kind of done here. That's.
Well, do you know that penny slots are the most profitable game in a casino for the casinos?
Interesting.
Did you know that?
I didn't.
They make more money on penny slots than any other, any table game, any other kind of slot. Penny slots are always number one.
Are people just more prone to sitting there longer and not understanding how much money they're spending?
Yeah, you just don't think about it, and I guess it's, and plus a lot of people play them because they're cheap. I don't know, but it's the number one moneymaker. Do you know what the least profitable form of gambling in a casino is for the casinos? You want
the least profitable form of gambling for the casinos? I'm going to say blackjack.
Nope. The sports book.
Okay.
Makes sense if you think about it.
Yeah, right. It's the one of the games that is probably the hardest for the casino to manipulate if you know what you're doing and you have some sort of understanding of. Yeah, you can manipulate the odds and all that sort of stuff, but yeah, it's the game with the least amount of we're fucking you over just because we want, like slots and all that sort of stuff is all designed for them to. Yeah, but I guess the sports book you could. If you know what you're doing,
it's
you can
the sports book. Yeah, there's a guy who I follow on Twitter who he tweets it out every month because that stuff's all public record. So he tweets out every month, and it's always penny slots number one, sports book on the bottom of the pile. So there you go. You with your penny slots, you're playing right into their hands.
I am playing right into their hands. They're getting my $20. They're getting my $20 and putting it right in their coffers and laughing all the way to the bank. Yeah.
Did you put $100 bill in the penny slot or whatever?
Whoa! What do you think? I made of money? $100 in the pennies? Get out of here!
You see like 100,000 credits, and you're it's and you just it's like
playing all the lines. You got to play all the lines too if you're playing a penny slot. That adds up.
Right, because you can't win anything if you don't play all the lines. So you can quickly see how it ends up being very profitable for the casinos, the penny slots. Trying to find the last time this guy tweeted that information, but I can't find it. And this is a live show, goddammit, so I can't sit here and scroll this guy's Twitter feed all day. So you just have to take my word for it.
Yeah, that sounds about right, though. That's the sports betting to me is the most game of skill that you could probably do at a casino. You know what I mean? Quote unquote skill. And obviously there's going to be some inherent advantage that the casino or the book has, but at least like the other ones, like
here you go. Yeah, I have it for November. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Craps took in $40 million. This is net win for the casinos.
Okay, Craps $40 million.
Sportsbook $41 million. Wasn't in last place this time around. Roulette $45 million.
See, I'm winning on roulette. There you go.
Blackjack $121.2 million.
Whew, that's a big jump. Whoa, that's a big jump.
Baccarat. Play a little Baccarat with
I don't understand it. I used to have a casino game for my Sega Genesis, and it had Baccarat. I never learned how to play it. Didn't make any sense to me as a kid.
$181.4 million. And penny slots, $238 million.
Damn.
Penny slots, as always, number one. And not even close, by the way.
Yeah, that's quadrupling like roulette. I know what I'm doing next time I hit the casino that I always love to hit. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, don't fly back. Do something. Get a good meal. Walk the strip. You know what I mean? Take in the sights and the sounds and the smells of Las Vegas, you know, right? Like, don't fly back.
The smells?
Just... When's the last time you went to Vegas?
Taking the smells of Las Vegas?
You really don't. You really don't. When's the last time you were in Vegas?
When I got married there. So what? Hey, how long we been married?
You should know that answer, sir.
It'll be 6 years in April. Last time
6 years in April. Okay. Do you like the smell of marijuana?
I hate the smell of marijuana.
You are not going to like Las Vegas anymore then, sir.
I do not like the scent of the devil's lettuce. Well, I am not a fan.
Las Vegas, Sin City might not be for you anymore then, sir, because the entire town from the moment you get off the airplane to the moment you get back on the airplane smells like weed everywhere you go.
It smells like my garage.
Yes, everywhere you go. Hotel rooms, the pools, the strip, the restaurant, everywhere you go, smells like weed.
Yeah.
People just constantly smoke in the air. Just, it is a lot.
Well, the Excalibur casino smells like mildew. So
right, so it covers that up. So it depends. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't been to the Excalibur in a couple of years, but yeah, maybe that's the one place you can go to escape the smell of weed.
That whole area, Excalibur, Luxor, that whole little, like at the end of the strip there, but the Hooters casino, that whole area down there is just, that's like the trashy end of the strip, and it Excalibur. You walk in there and it just hits you. It's like, why does it smell like mildew? It just fucking smells like mildew. I don't think they've changed the carpets in the Excalibur.
Oh no, they're just waiting to knock that thing down. That's got to be the next to go, right? Because Tropicana's meeting the Wrecking Ball this year, right? Very, very soon, because that's where they're presumably going to put the A's stadium, even though nobody wants the A's.
They're knocking down Tropicana?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's the end of the road for the Tropicana, unfortunately. So
where was the Nitro restaurant? That was Excalibur.
Excalibur Nitro Grill. I'm looking at a cup from that very place right now. I went to the Nitro Grill. Not good at all. Not good at all.
Sometimes when you go to Excalibur, when you walk in, there's like a knight with a sword.
Oh, I think there still is. Yeah, last time I went, there was. Yeah. I mean, but again, this is like 15 years ago was the last time I went to Excalibur. But at the time they're like, oh, hello, sir. You're like, whoa.
He's a knight and he has a sword. And he usually has a couple broads with him.
Oh, yeah. Big old titties all over the place. You walk in, there's a guy with a sword and some big breasts, and you're like, whoa, hell yeah. But then, the rest of it kind of sucks after that. So
why did you sound like 40-year-old virgin? You're like, oh, yeah, big old titties.
Right. Well, because like the time when, I don't know. Yeah.
They feel like bags of sand.
Right.
When you squeeze them.
Right.
Titties and breasts. You pause. You didn't know what word to use. You're like, yeah, big old titties and breasts. Like you're talking about poultry breasts.
Right.
Jeez, you're so uncomfortable with the tits. Why are you so uncomfortable with the tits?
I don't know.
You titty guy?
Yeah, I like the tit. Yeah. There is no shortage.
Titties are titties. Not a big titty guy.
Oh no, definitely.
Oh, you are a big titty
yeah.
guy.
Okay.
Okay.
You ever seen The Nurse?
You're
Yeah.
just too shy to say.
Yeah, I'm just too shy.
Guy.
I'm just tugging my collar,
Gotcha.
trying to change the subject as quickly as humanly possible.
Like the breasts.
I like chicken breasts. I like human breast.
Can't believe he said breasts.
Bosom. I didn't say bosom. The busting bosom of the ladies at the Excalibur. So
some well-endowed women in chainmail standing next to the knight as he greets you.
Yeah,
coming in.
But there's so much of that. You just want the strip, man. It's just like you get bored.
Oh yeah, of course.
You're just like, okay. The next hot woman with pasties over nipples, you're just like, all right, get out of my way. I'm just trying to walk here.
Get the
right?
Yeah, you get desensitized real quick. Yeah,
yeah, great ass. I get it. Great ass. Okay, great. Move. I got to get across the fucking walkway. I have to go through another walkway. I have to go through this fucking walkway. Casino and this walkway, and your tits are in the way. So can I please move? Get out of the fucking way. All right.
Yeah.
Great. Nice pasties. Great. They look fantastic. Great. Move, please. I gotta go.
No time. You don't even stop to turn around and look after the first 10 minutes or so, because it's just you're completely desensitized. You're just trying to weave through the Pirates of the Caribbean cosplayers looking to take selfies and get tips from you to get from one casino to the next. And
town
you know what was big?
I hate that town. Fuck that town.
The Zach Galifianakis cosplayers with the baby strap to their chest.
Yeah, the Hangover guys. Yeah, that's one of the worst new things that's happened. It's like it's that way in Hollywood too. You walk, which is another place you should never ever go, is Hollywood. And it's just like the entire strip is just like, I'm dressed as Spider-Man. I'm dressed as Jack Nicholson from The Shining. I'm just it's like, all right, leave me alone.
But I like the low effort ones. I really enjoy the low effort ones and like the dollar store versions of these cosplayers that where it's hard to figure out what exactly it is they're doing. Like those are the ones I like. There was a whole gang of who's the guy that went to court with Amber Heard?
Johnny Depp.
What's his name?
Johnny Depp.
There was a whole gang of them, and each one of them were a different
I've seen
Johnny
that. Yeah.
Character.
There's Edward Scissorhands, Johnny Depp. There's Pirates of the Caribbean, Johnny Depp guy. Those guys were making a killing, man. I'll tell you. They were raking in the dough when I was there.
They're still out there, huh? They've been out there for years,
oh, yeah.
those guys. They roll together.
It might be a new crew. Maybe it's a new crew. It might be like a band. Like, one guy goes and they fill in another guy. It's probably not that hard to be like, just grow your hair out, have a little goatee, and then we'll just give you the Edward Scissorhands scissors, and you're fine. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
I guess Times Square is the same way, too, but I've never gone to Times Square, because why would I do that?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
When I was in New York for WrestleMania weekend, we drove by Times Square, and I went, I think I'm good. It never appealed to me. Anyway. So that's WWE, and that's WrestleMania XL. We'll see what happens at WrestleMania XL very soon. Stay tuned for more... More matches getting changed or moved, or stories being told. Anything else coming out of the green? Or are we green carpeting? Or are we red carpeting? What are we carpeting here? Is this a red carpet event? Because it's after the show, right? Does that still count? Is there still a red carpet if it's after the show? Do you know
No,
I think it turns into another carpet, right? Isn't it a green carpet?
I don't know the colors of carpets and how it corresponds to post and pre-events. I'm not familiar with that.
Maybe I'm wrong.
What's it called? It's called red carpet before an event, right? And
but maybe it's red carpet both times. I don't know. I don't care. All right, let's move on to something else here with this. I'm sick of talking about this dumb company. And we're not talking about NXT. I need a little bit of a break before we talk about NXT. Is that okay with you?
Did you see they pulled the family tree right off the Wikipedia page? Did you notice that?
No way. Did they really?
Yeah, the family tree they use is the one right off the Wikipedia page. Had everybody on it. The Snookas had them all.
Well, let me see.
Gary Albright. They were all on there.
It was Gary. Did you check? Was he on there?
He was 100% on it. Yeah, it was the one straight off Wikipedia.
Oh, my God. I love it.
Lance Anoa'i.
That's great.
All of them. Black Pearl. They're all on there.
Hell yeah. Brent Albright. I love Brent Albright being on there. That's great. So no, Brent Albright he's in WWE canon now. Brent Albright. I love it.
Not Brent Albright. Gary Albright.
Oh. I was kind of confused.
Brent Albright. No.
That'd be awesome. That would be awesome.
No Gunnar Scott.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, I didn't know he was involved in that. I didn't know. Okay, I didn't know. And for a sec, because I knew that he was, but then I didn't know if Brent Albright found a way to get involved in the bloodline. No. Like he married like the 9th removed cousin of one of the Samoans. Okay, all right.
No, Gary Albright was married to one of the sisters.
No Gunnar Scott.
They had the working names in parentheses under each guy, and they had like if they died, they had like the year of their death as well on Rock's family tree that he had up there. They listed Samuel Fatu as Tonga Kid. They went with Tonga Kid instead of Tama or the Samoan Savage.
Went with Tonga Kid.
I would think they would pick Tonga Kid over Samoan Savage. You know, but,
yeah.
That's what they went with.
Well, is that what he is on the family tree or the Wikipedia one? What is he listed as?
Let me Wikipedia check. Just has their shoot names.
I see. Okay.
They added the gimmick names for this, and they chose Tonga Kid, which I thought was interesting. But he really was he was the biggest star as the Tonga Kid, not as Tama of the Islanders, or the Samoan Savage for that matter. And then they had, Jacob Fatu connected to him as his son on there as well. They had everybody on there. I'm telling you, they ripped it right from Wikipedia. It's the same format and everything.
Was Lance there? Because Lance is like, if you go to the Wikipedia one, he's
Lance,
like
I just said Lance.
Okay, because he's like the one way at the bottom. Because he's like,
and that's how it was up on the thing. That's what I'm telling you.
Well, that's what it looks like. That's the real
chart from Wikipedia.
They just screenshotted it. I like it.
Yeah, they ripped it right from Wikipedia.
Yeah,
and just added the working names. Yeah, that's what they did.
Danny Garcia all the way to the corner.
Yeah,
because she's kind of there,
now, aren't you?
I'm looking at it because she's like kind of there, but not because she obviously Simone Johnson, Ava Rain is obviously. So she's got like a weird dotted line.
No, just Ava.
Oh, just Ava. That's right. She's just Ava these days.
No more Rain. Ava Rain. Just Ava.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got
GM of NXT.
You cannot. We're not doing NXT right now. I have to wait on NXT. I can't.
I mean, it would make sense to do it now.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Why don't you want to do it now?
You just want to rip the Band-Aid off and do it?
Why? What Band-Aid? Maybe I liked it. You don't know. You don't know.
You're
nothing.
right.
You don't know.
You're right. I don't know if you sat down on Sunday night, a bowl of chili, and watched NXT Vengeance Day from the FNM Bank Arena in Clarksville, Texas, and said, that was a great wrestling show. I'm glad I watched that.
Much like Marina Shafir, you don't know me.
Yeah. You went, I thought Lola Vice had it there. Darn it. So close, but so far.
Lola Vice. Let's do Vengeance Day.
All right, fine. NXT Vengeance Day was Sunday. Clarksville, Tennessee, F&M Bank Arena.
Clarksville, Tennessee, you say?
Uh-huh.
Isn't that the home of Crimson's indie promotion that was once affiliated with the NWA? The hell's the name of that promotion?
You tell me, man. I don't know. Crimson. I know he had a...
Sure you do. Old Anthony Mayweather from the NWA.
Yeah, what was his... I don't know. Did he have one?
Of course he did. They hosted the pop-up pay-per-view, the pop-up event a number of years ago. Remember?
I don't remember that.
You are really being exposed
I have let it all
fake
go.
Fangirl with the NWA.
It's all gone away. It's all gone away, man. I'm done. I'm good. I don't need it anymore.
You don't, you've been exposed. You don't know nearly as much about the NWA as I thought you did.
I know. I pretended for a long time. I pretended to know the NWA. And
you did.
It's now showing that I was just lying.
Crimson Anthony Mayweather was the promoter of Tried and True Pro Wrestling. And quite frankly, I don't know. I don't even know who you are. I don't know who
Tried
I
and True
anymore.
Is that the name? I don't remember that at all.
This is the second week in a row that it's like I don't even know
because I got the wrong.
I
got Kylie and Kenzie Page mixed up. Now you're.
Yeah, you don't seem to know anything about the NWA, and I thought you were like me, an NWA aficionado. And it's just all I'm saying is it's a little disappointing. That's all. This show slowed to a crawl. Let's get things moving. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we got an hour here. NXT Vengeance Day. Let's go to the. I think we have to talk about the opener and the main event kind of together. I think is probably the best way to do this. So, for people who did not know what was going on this particular show, Trick Williams, of course, teamed with Carmelo Hayes in the opener, the men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic final against Baron Corbin and Bron Breakker. But then he also had an opportunity at the NXT Championship. So, of course, he took them both in the same night. So he faced Ilya Dragunov in the main event for the NXT Championship. But then on the opener, had to fight with his tag team partner Carmelo Hayes against Baron Corbin and Bron Breakker. So I did the double duty here. And I will say one of these matches was really good. And one of them I thought was fucking horrible. And I thought this tag team match was fucking horrible. I don't know what you thought of this match, but nobody could do anything right in this match. Everybody fucked up every single spot they tried. Trick tried like 7 neck breakers and all of them failed. Bron Breakker was about the only guy here, which is wild to say this, that Bron Breakker was like the one guy that I thought held this match together, because I thought Baron sucked, I thought Carmelo sucked, and I thought Trick sucked, and I thought this was an atrocious match. I think this thing sucked.
This was a painfully dull match, and then they had this closing stretch where they had all these intricate spots planned out, and then those were all done very poorly. So, yeah, I thought this match was terrible. I for a lot of the reasons you laid out, and plus, before the match fell apart and before we had all the messy spots, I thought that the match was just painfully dull and there was nothing going on. I mean, this was like a 1.5 star match. This was not good at all, and this show was not off to a good start.
No. And like you said, they wanted really intricate stuff to happen, and they wanted this guy to do here, and this guy to have this, and this guy do this move, and this guy. They had a lot of stuff planned out, a lot of stuff ready to go, and like you said, none of it looked good, and all of it was a disaster. And the end result was Bron Breakker about to do a spear to Trick Williams, but then Carmelo Hayes kind of moved Trick out of the way and took the spear himself, and then got pinned for the 1-2-3. So Carmelo got the loss, and then later in the night, Trick was like, "Why'd you take that spear from me, Carmelo?" And Carmelo's like, "I did it because you have an NXT Championship opportunity later in the night," or whatever. And it's like, okay, great. So the idea here is that Carmelo put himself in front of Bron to save Trick Williams, but as we see at the end, it was all just a ploy.
Typical terrible, overdramatic NXT bullshit is what it was. But yeah, the match wasn't any good. Current rating on Cage Match: 7 for this opening tag team match. 3.5 star match, according to the inmates, with the NXT inflation that we often see on Cage Match, which I often feel like we have our own dedicated feed of the lesser version of a show when I look at some of these Cage Match
the problem
ratings.
is I don't watch live, so I think something must get changed in the replay. Next time I will do it. I will watch NXT live, and then maybe I will be like these other people and find these matches incredible, because I watched it on Tuesday and Wednesday, and this match sucked. It was no good at all. So I'm kind of surprised to see that rating. So one of these times I will align with the NXT universe on Cage Match.
Well, do you think people that watch NXT just don't know the difference between good wrestling and bad wrestling?
They didn't hit any. They couldn't do moves. They kept falling over each other and missing moves.
At one point, Corbin bumped in the wrong direction for a cutter.
That's what I'm saying. Right. Like, I get how, because there's going to be the Lyra Valkyria Roxanne Perez. They opened their match with the worst Dean Malenko Eddie Guerrero cosplay you've ever seen in your entire life. Doing
terrible.
Like doing the fish out of water spots and the reversal, whatever. And like a bunch of people on Twitter were gifting like, Roxanne and Lyra are cooking, or, oh my God, this is incredible. And those people, because that looked fundamentally kind of sort of like what good wrestling looks like. So I guess, you know what I mean? Like, I knew it sucked.
Yeah.
You knew it sucked. Everybody that knows anything about wrestling knows it sucked. But I think if you're an idiot or an imbecile and an NXT fan, you might think these ladies are cooking. Hashtag, NXT Vengeance Day, fire emoji or whatever. But but this match, they were fucking everything up. You can't think that these moves that they were fucking up and bumping the wrong way looked good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand sort of kind of maybe the Lyra Roxanne stuff. I cannot understand you thinking this match was any good.
No, this match sucked. There's no other way to describe this match other than it was really boring, and then the closing stretch was messy and it sucked. So, once again, we appear to be the ones that are out to lunch. 28. Oh, no, that was for the show. 28 people gave this show a rating of 10, by the way. My God. But yeah, no, the match, it wasn't any good. Anyway, let's move on.
So let's talk about the main event, though, because I think these are good to go back to back.
Go ahead. You go first.
So Dragunov and Trick Williams, I thought this was good, but not great. I saw a lot of people call this match great and call this like an unbelievable performance, an elite level match, and a great main event. I thought it was pretty good. I think I would stop at great. I don't think I would go to great. I thought Ilya was great in this. I thought Trick was very good in it. They did a really good job of doing the kickouts and stuff, and they all kind of but I'll say, like, the first, I don't know, 12, 13 minutes of the match, I don't think anything really was happening. And Dragunov was doing a lot of like NXT mid-match promo bullshit that I don't really need to see him be like, is this what you wanted? Is this what you wanted? And I'm like, just wrestle. Just fucking wrestle, man. I don't need you to tell me the story and shout out things or whatever. But then I will give them credit. The last couple minutes were really good. The inclusion of Carmelo coming in there and you know, unintentionally hitting Trick Williams in the leg, and then Trick kind of not selling it at all, but I guess we're just going to let that go because it's fine, whatever, it's NXT. And then, like, you know, them having a bunch of back and forths and Trick having some very, very creative kickouts and very last minute kickouts, and then Ilya having a last minute kick out, and then, you know, just kind of playing it all up at the end. So I thought the finish was okay. We got a little bit of a ref bump that kind of sucked. And I thought the finish, like the actual, like the guys both, you know, doing their knees, but Ilya hitting the knee a little bit higher than Trick was okay, but I don't know. I thought the finish was just kind of meh. I thought the beginning was not that great, and then there was like a really good 5 minutes in there. So I don't know if you want to call that great. I guess you can call it great, but I just thought this was okay. I thought it was good, but I'm like 3.25 stars is basically where I'm at with this thing.
I went 3.5. I thought it was a good match. I love the accidental blood, and we got accidental blood from both guys as they were bonking heads and everything else at the start of the match, and there was a physicality to it. And I thought it was a good match. It's being woefully overrated. I mean, it's at 9.06.
It's one of the greatest matches of all time right now.
Well, it was. It was trending as one of the great. At one point this week, it was like 9.5 something, and it was one of the top 25 matches in the history of pro wrestling at one point on Cage Match. Now, it did settle to some degree, and I think it does have a chance to go below 9 when it's all said and done. But, 5 days in and it's still sitting at over 9, which is preposterous. This was not a 4.5 star match. Okay. Just not a chance, but it was a good match. It was probably the best match on the show. There was another match that I really liked that I guess we're going to get to in a minute. And it would be neck and neck with that match for best match on the show. And then, they did the big angle afterwards, and we knew they were going to do some kind of angle. I didn't think it was, like we talked about already, I didn't think it was particularly creative how they got to the turn here. But we knew something was coming, and, Carmelo attacks him afterwards, and, Dragunov retains, and Dragunov is great. And, he doesn't belong here. He belongs on the main roster, obviously. But, he'll have to drop the title to somebody first. They'll build someone up to beat him, and then he'll move on. But, this was a good match, and I think it's worth people's time if they don't typically watch NXT. Because all of Dragunov's matches have been good, and you get a decent look at Trick Williams. I would say if you want to get a look at Trick Williams, watch this. Do not watch that opening tag. Don't watch that. Yeah. Watch this match if you want to get a feel for Trick Williams. And look, I don't even think, there were factors, like, I thought all the accidental blood and the physicality of it, which may not have even been intentional, helped the match. So from that standpoint, a lot of the reasons why I was entertained by this match weren't even the intent. So it's kind of like a backhanded compliment when I say that, but
right. Because Trick got busted open in the opener because these guys were just all over the place and had no idea what they were doing, or whatever. But it ended up working. Yeah. And then Ilya, I don't know if he was unintentional. I'm sure it was unintentional because obviously with that company it was. But like you're saying, because there was a bunch of fuck ups in the opening match, and because somebody stiffed somebody a little bit more in the main event, we actually got an upgraded match of Ilya, with blood all over his nose and Trick with blood all over his mouth or whatever, which ended up, helping the match a little bit. Great visual. Yeah, so it ended up being a great visual that they kind of, again, sort of lucked into. It wasn't really anything by design, but it ended up actually working pretty well for them.
Yeah, so we've talked a lot about Trick's upside, and, we don't have to do that every time we talk about him, but, they're giving him a chance now, and he's going to be a focused featured guy on this show, probably for the next couple of years, and until they figure out whether he's someone that they could invest in moving forward. And he's someone that I would gamble on. I think he's going to do. I think there's a chance that he could do well. So.
And then obviously, like you said, the Carmelo turn was he hugged him and said, "Oh no, man, no, you be proud of yourself. Keep your head up. You're my brother," type of thing. And yeah, then the little bug came, and you're like, "Yeah, here we go." And then he goes from behind and then takes out his knee and then hits him with the chair 100 times. Couldn't just be like 10, like 4 times or a time. It had to be 1,000 times to lose all, sort of. And then goes to the crowd, tells them to stick it up yours, and it's like, all right, we get it. You're a heel. We got it, man. You're a heel. It's all right. But anyway, so that was that. And again, a good main event. But yeah, I've seen some people call it like great or like a match of the year level type of thing. I don't know if I can.
Not even close.
I can't get that far with that.
This won't finish in the top 100 of our. You think it'll finish top 100? We usually are pretty good at this.
Top 100? No, I don't think it will.
No, I don't think so either. First of all,
those Mello. Remember, everybody said those Mello and Ilya matches were cooking, and they were going to be, and then like they did nothing on our countdown. You know what I mean? Just completely.
Couple votes here. And there. Yeah. So I'm telling you, it's the NXT. You know, we always tie cage match into these reviews because it's so funny. I just think the NXT voter on cage match is a different breed of fan. It's just, I think they're just in their own little fucking universe. And I don't think they're the same people voting on like All Japan Triple Crown matches or even necessarily like AEW matches. And I feel like they have their own scale. At this point, that's what I have to tell myself because these ratings are preposterous. And we haven't even gotten to the most preposterous rating, in my opinion. That one's coming up. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, so then let's now go. So we had the opener, obviously, the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic match. The next matchup was a no disqualification match. Finally, going to see some weapons here in NXT. I cannot wait. Dijak versus Joe Gacy. Dijak defeating Joe Gacy after... So this is a weird one where I think I kind of liked parts of this match, but then I also thought it sucked. So I don't know what I think of this match. I thought these guys worked hard, but it's like hard to get excited about kendo stick shots and trash can lids and tables or whatever. But I thought these guys worked kind of hard doing it. So I don't know where I'm at with this match. It's like I kind of think it sucked, but then I also kind of liked it. I don't know. What maybe you can overrule me or figure out what you thought of this thing, and I can decide finally.
I thought it was really good.
Okay, so I am I right to be like, I don't know what it was. Like I wanted to hate this match and I couldn't hate it at any point because I thought these guys worked so hard. So I'm glad you kind of agree with me there because that's sort of where I was.
I think these were the two best workers on the show in this match. These two guys, because Dragunov didn't have a vintage Dragunov night. So I thought these two guys were the two best workers on the show. Obviously, both of them don't belong in a developmental territory. I mean, they're both seasoned pros. And let me ask you this. Do you think when Gacy dumped out the toy soldiers and the Matchbox cars, do you think that was because they were afraid to use Legos for copyright reasons?
I didn't think of that, but yeah, that's not a bad idea.
In this company, you know what I mean?
They may have been because they didn't want everybody to be like, those are plastic blocks or whatever. What are they doing with plastic toy blocks?
Right.
Whereas you could just
plastic
say, oh, they're toy
building blocks. Yeah.
right.
Where they just use like generic Matchbox cars. And
or maybe they thought it'd be interesting to have that be the car. Because I think I've never seen that before. So maybe they just thought, hey, you know what? Everybody does the fucking Legos now. Spot. Yeah, screw the Lego spot. Let's do Matchbox spot. I like it. I actually kind of appreciate that.
Have they ever used Legos in WWE? I can't remember.
It's a great question. I don't know. I don't know if they ever did. I don't think so.
They might be terrified of the sponsorships. Maybe they have a conflicting sponsor.
Oh, they do. They're with Mattel or whatever, right? So maybe...
That's what I'm saying. So I just thought it was weird that they didn't use Legos. They used like alternate to Legos. And I was thinking about that as I was watching the match. But did you see Dijak leaked to Sean Ross Sapp that his contract's coming up?
He's trying to get the hot stove season piping hot for Donovan Dijakovic. Yeah, okay, all right.
He's poking the coals with the hot poker, right? He's poking the coals, making sure everybody knows that it's contract season for him in a couple months. I like Dijak. I I feel like he's someone who they could have done more with.
Oh, he's way too good to be in developmental. Yeah, it's kind of my thought.
I mean, roster. He was in like the fucking Antifa group. What the hell was that called?
Retribution or whatever the fuck they were called.
Right? T-Bar or
yeah, he was T-Bar. He was T-Bar. T-Bar. No, it wasn't T-Bag. I believe it was T-Bar. But
all right, he was Rusty Trombone. He was Cincinnati Bowtie, whatever he was. But he was
Retribution, right? Wasn't that their name?
Yeah, he was Cleveland Steamer.
Cleveland Steamer, yeah.
Right? That's what he was in the Retribution group. But
Mace, Slapjack, Reckoning, Retaliation, Mustafa Ali, and then T-Bag. Or what'd you call him?
T-Bag.
Cleveland
T-Bag.
Steamer. Yeah,
Cleveland Steamer. Cincinnati Bowtie. Rusty Trombone. He was Donkey Punch in Retribution. That's what he was. He was the Donkey Punch. He, they were doing. I don't know. I think he's a really talented guy, and he's got good size, and he's been with the company now. Don't look it up. Are you looking it up?
I'm not. I can't actually look stuff up. I think because our earlier stream issue, I'm very nervous to look anything up on my computer. So I'm
All right. How long do you think he's been with the company?
I would say he signed there in 2019.
He's been with the company 8 years. I mean, they just don't do anything with anyone. I mean, if you can't figure out what to do with this guy by now, isn't it time to just cut bait?
8 years?
I mean, really. Like, I don't want anyone to lose their job. I guess it's like a prerequisite. You have to say that or people think you're an asshole, right? But it's like, he's leaking that his contract coming up. So he obviously isn't pleased with his current situation. So, I don't know. I think he'd be a great addition to AEW. I mean, I don't know if he's someone I'd push to the top, but he could have really great matches with a lot of people there. And if he had the right motivation, I'd like to see him wrestle anywhere.
I think he's got good motivation.
Do a lot of cool shit.
I think he's got good motivation. He's still out there working his ass off. And that's one of the things that I noticed about that guy and that's something I noticed in this match. I was like, this guy is still busting his ass here, and he doesn't have to. He's in some bullshit no disqualification match with Joe Gacy on the brand that he's been on for 8 years. He still worked really hard and took some hellacious bumps throughout this. So the motivation still seems to be there, and I guess he's still, like I said, I can't look it up. How old is he at this point? Because I remember he was like younger than people thought, but now it's been 8 years, so now I don't know. Maybe he's like
T-Bone is 36 years old.
36. You still got a couple years in you. Still got a couple years in you at 36. He's not in his 40s. He's got
to move on. They're never pushing him.
No.
It's over. He's never getting pushed there. So he's right for putting out the feelers.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
All right, let's move on. We got a lot to do.
Yeah. So we had some other segments here as well. I'm trying to get to the segments because I have a rant about one of these segments, but I don't remember when the segment came about. So we'll
just wedge it in whenever you're comfortable.
I'll wedge it in when I feel comfortable. I believe it was after.
Doesn't have to be chronological. One's Rich, 90% of the people listening didn't watch the show. They don't know when this thing happened.
Well, it's not the right time for this rant because right now we're putting over Dijak and Gacy, and we put over Ilya.
Yeah, timing's everything.
Right, so I'm going to find a good time to bring this up because it's something I hate, and I'm going to rant about it for 45 minutes. So, all right, hey, this is a good way to get it started here. The D'Angelo family, Tony D'Angelo, Channing Stax Lorenzo, and Adriana Rizzo, your brothers, Joe, the D'Angelo family, versus Out the Mud, Lucian Price, Bronco Nima, and Jada Parker, with scripts, of course. Out the Mud versus the D'Angelo family, a 6-person mixed tag team match. This was not very good. Adriana Rizzo and Jada Parker are not good at all.
No, they are not.
And Rizzo nearly killed Jada Parker like 3 times, just landing on her face. Just doing these, she's bouncing all over the rings, doing all this sort of shit, and just landing on people's faces. At one point, she just kicks Jada Parker in the face and then rotates over and lands on her face. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Can anybody know how to work? Do any of the women in this company know how to work at all?
No. The answer is no.
The answer is no.
But you have the women's division in NXT is so bad.
But they're working like so fucking bad. CMLL on a Friday night or whatever, like Arena Mexico. It's like Norman Smiley watches CMLL and brings the tape and says, "All right, guys, do this." And it's like, well, I don't know, maybe be better before we start doing, topes and shit like that. Like maybe learn how to run the ropes or throw a punch or kick or something before we learn how to do fucking topes or cannonballs in the corner and stuff. It's just like this wild, the amount of stuff that they have these people do, and they're completely untrained. But yeah, this is brutal. It's not good at all.
Not a good match. And it wasn't good because even the cage match cycle was only gave it a 5.08. So yeah, there's not much to say about it.
There really wasn't. Yeah, it happened. It's over and it was bad, and let's all move on.
The people that were bad were bad. The people that are okay were okay, and it's just a totally forgettable, not good match.
Then we had the NXT Women's Championship match, complete with growling ring announcer explaining Lyra Valkyria. Roxanne Perez, who has altered her outlook. You're not going to believe it, Joe. She's a whole new person this month. She's completely motivated by her past issues, and she's ready to turn a new corner and be a new person and a new Roxanne Perez. And you're barely going to recognize her from where she was a year ago here in this match against Lyra Valkyria. So like I said, they started the match off having the absolute dirt fucking worst second week of pro wrestling school Malenko versus Guerrero tribute spot where they're just...
It wasn't even Malenko Guerrero. It was like they were chain wrestling. Okay. And the problem is neither one of them seemed like they know what they're doing. And they were kind of like waiting for one person would do a reversal, then they'd wait around for what felt like an hour for the other person to do a counter, and it felt like it was just happening underwater at 0.75 speed, and there was no oomph to it. There was no confidence in what they were doing. It seemed like they were both thinking really hard, like, okay, what do I do here? Where do I put my legs? Do I do a break? And there was just no flow. There was no snap. It's
and they're checking the box. They're checking the box of what the next spot is. It doesn't matter if it's organic or it makes sense or it works or it's done fluidly. It's like, all right, Lyra did a roll, and now Roxanne's going to come and do a bridging pin, but then Lyra's going to reverse out of it and then do her bridging pin, and then Roxanne's going to bridge out of that and then do her thing, and it's just like
no sense of struggle at all.
No.
In any of it, and it was just lifeless and slow. And even though it was slow and deliberate and careful and obviously practiced, they still lost each other 2 or 3 times.
Yep.
Somehow, despite the fact that there was there's no speed or there's no sense of struggle. There's no, because a lot of times when guys are when you have 2 people in there that are excellent mat wrestlers, sometimes they'll like semi-shoot on each other. Do you know what I mean? Like they'll go in there and they'll grapple.
They'll grapple. They'll roll. If you've ever done amateur wrestling, you've ever done MMA, you'll roll. You'll just go in there and roll.
They go in there and roll, and they might, because it's works, they might give up a limb or cooperate a little, but essentially they're in there grappling, and like if you watch Bryan Danielson and Hechicero from Collision a couple weeks ago, or if you watch Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. from New Year Dash last month when they opened up the main event 8-man tag. Now, okay, you're probably saying, Joe, how can you compare Roxanne Perez and Lyra Valkyria to Bryan Danielson or Hechicero or Zack Sabre Jr.? Well, I don't know. They're on TV and they're on a major pay-per-view and they're doing it, so I'm going to judge what they're doing. Do I expect them to be as good as Bryan Danielson and Hechicero, 2 of the best chain wrestlers on the fucking planet who have ever stepped into a ring? No. But do I expect them, if they do this shit, to be competent at it? Yeah. I think the floor is competency if you're going to do it. And they're not competent. It looked like fucking dog shit. It looked terrible. It looked fucking terrible.
Right. No one's telling them they have to do this. Like they're
right.
They don't have to do it if you're not good at it. Yeah. Right.
Look, it's what we talk about all the time in NXT. We talked about in the previous match. Why do these inexperienced wrestlers try these wild fucking flying moves that they cannot do? Why in the opener did those guys in the final 5 minutes do all of this overambitious stuff and they don't even know what direction to bump in? Why, if you're not good at chain wrestling, do you get in there and chain wrestle for the first 3 or 4 minutes and make an absolute fool of yourself? This wasn't good. They looked awful. It looked like you said, third week of wrestling school where all they've taught you so far was to exchange holds. And you're doing it in a very careful way because you're afraid to hurt the other person.
Right.
You're afraid to hurt yourself.
Or I've seen what a lot of schools will do is they'll have guys go in the ring. And what they'll do is they'll shout out the coach will shout out the next move. And you're supposed to figure out how to transition from whatever move you're in to whatever the next move is. And usually they'll do stuff like this. All right, bridge. All right, German. All right, just kind of stuff like that. And you're supposed to kind of quickly figure out what the next move is going to be and how to make it look fluid and how to make it work out. So it's a good drill to do. But this is what we were watching a drill play out on, in front of an arena on, Peacock. So sorry, I'm going to call it like I see it.
Listen, the other thing is, here's how neither one of them are good at this. They're not offering any worked resistance to each other.
No.
They're just doing things to each other, and neither is offering any kind of worked resistance or any kind of sense of struggle, and they're not really selling the holds, and they're just moving from one thing to the next.
Right, and the crowd's making no noise. The crowd's making no noise, by the way.
The crowd is dead for this because it's bad. It's bad, and also, here's the other thing. These NXT crowds have now been taught to just high spot, flashy high spot, flashy spot, fucking springboard, and now you have two people in there doing chain wrestling, and they're not good at it, and it's slow as shit, and they lose each other like 2 or 3 times and have to regather and reset because even as slow and deliberate as they're going, they can't handle what they're doing. It stinks. Roxanne Perez, for someone who came in with a lot of hype, and I was never on that train. And I had seen her live with my own eyes in Texas. Okay? Somehow she's gone backwards. I don't even think it's debatable. She's like getting worse. She's like the Benjamin Button of developmental wrestlers. She gets worse.
She is regressing quickly.
She isn't any good. And then you have this Lola Vice come in with the world's worst cash-in.
Okay, yeah. So we have this match happening, and it's like 10 minutes in. Roxanne hits some sort of move on Lyra. It doesn't feel like the finish. Nobody buys that it's the finish. Nobody thinks it's the finish. And all of a sudden, Lola Vice's music hits. And you have no idea what Lola Vice's music sounds like, by the way. Anybody listening to this?
You know who this is.
It's just like, dun, 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 and Roxanne Perez, and they're like, oh, and Vic Joseph goes, oh my God. And I'm like, what? I don't know what's going on here. And they're like, oh, Lola Vice is cashing in her breakout tournament championship opportunity. And I'm like, oh my God. And this is why, and people got mad at us about this. This is why we ranted and raved about Christian and Killswitch doing the cash-in thing. The cash-in is WWE bullshit 101. Let them have it. They do it all the fucking time. They overdo it. It never means anything anymore. It's so dumb. Let them do the cash-in shit. Be better. Do something different. Don't do the cash-in shit. Let that be WWE bullshit and let it stay in this dumb company.
Yeah, I mean, and this cash-in didn't make any sense because it's not like the champion was in a precarious position or anything. She just wanted to come in and make it a 3-way.
Right. And even Wade Barrett pointed that out. He's like, I don't know about Lola Vice's timing with this one. It didn't seem like either woman was in a precarious position. And it didn't. Like, Roxanne was fine.
Made her look like a geek.
Yeah, Roxanne was perfectly fine. She was hitting moves and winning, and Lyra had taken like one bump, and that was it. And then that's when Lola Vice came in. It's like she didn't come in when both women were absolutely just destroyed. She came in like the middle of the match and then wrestled and then lost anyway. Then lost the match.
Yeah. And Lola Vice is another one. She throws like these spinning roundhouse kicks that always are like softer than pillows, and they just look bad. And man, I have to say, this was my least favorite match on the entire show. I thought this was absolute dog shit. I thought this was a
brutal.
I thought it was a fucking dud. I thought it was just awful. And then I pull up the old cage match.
No!
See, this is the
oh no! Don't do this. I can't.
This is the most egregious rating on the entire show because, all right, the main event has over 9. I get why people liked it though. This I don't understand even what people liked, and this has a 7.63 rating, the second best match on this show, and I cannot wrap my fucking head around this because this was fucking amateur hour. This was amateur hour. This was the kind of match where if I'm running NXT, I'm having a hard conversation with these three. And I'm like, look, we have to be better. Roxanne, I don't know what's going on with you. No more chain wrestling for you guys ever again until you prove you can do it. And, this is just bad. But again, maybe I'm getting an alternate feed of these fucking shows. 7.63 for this slop. For these people who don't look like they're barely out of training, which in Lola Vice's case, she is barely out of training. But the other two have been at it for years and years, right?
Oh, yeah.
I guess not years and years, but
Roxanne's she's got to be 4 or 5 years at this point, and I think she was in Europe for a little bit as well.
Valkyria's been in the company for 5 years.
Right.
And then she was in Europe before that, so she's been around because she had that impronounceable first name.
Iofi or whatever, but it's like Stephanie somehow. It's like AIOFE, but it's pronounced Stephanie.
It's AOIFE, which is an Iofi or something, but it's one of them Irish names where, it's like Jennifer or something. Right. Or Leslie or something. And it's like, what? But they pivoted from that to make it something a little easier. But yeah, she's been around. And Roxanne Perez, she's a kid. I mean, she's probably 21 or 22 years old. I guess she started in 2018.
I was going to say she's been wrestling for a while. Right. She's been wrestling for a while.
She's been wrestling since she's a teen. You're right. She should be better than this. And at this point, it really feels like she's going backwards. I thought this match was the absolute shits and the worst match in the show.
Absolutely. Well, this is a great segue to the thing I am going to rant and rave about for a while here. So it was either after this match or the next match. We will. So throughout this show, we had some just horrible segments backstage. Just awful segments. We had the Chase U signing their calendars. They're doing a calendar to save the university, Joe. And you have your least favorite character on earth shaking and yelling and moving her eyes around or whatever. And then JC Jane is the one that's can't come up with a calendar, and they're all of Chase U signing this calendar or whatever. Then at one point, some fucking dude, who was this guy's name that came up and asked about for her to be a Valentine? It's just like, well, what are we doing here? Who cares? Colin Delaney. I don't know who it was. It was just some guy.
Colin Delaney.
Colin Delaney.
I don't know. I don't know who it was. Yeah,
what's this guy's name? I don't even remember. But anyway,
it's junk. I don't know.
It was just awful because he's like, will you be my Valentine or whatever? And then your girl is just like, yeah. It's just like, what is this? What am I watching? Why am I watching this or whatever? So they're setting their dumb calendar. Who cares? Chase you. Move on. Then we get Kiana James and Izzy Dame. Izzy Dame, who is apparently just Tiffany Stratton 2.0. That's, I guess, the gimmick, because we're just doing the exact same thing. Where she's like, I don't really like anybody here. I'm like, what is this? What am I watching? What is this shit? So Kiana's still like a businesswoman, I guess. She's doing this segment either from her, like the backyard of her estate. Does she still own Fallon Henley's bar, or that's over?
That's over with.
Okay, because I was going to say, this could have potentially been the outdoor patio of Fallon Henley's bar, but it wasn't. So Kiana James is there on her laptop being like, we need to figure out how we're going to beat the women of NXT so I can get the NXT championship or whatever. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? But Joe, something happened in this. Thank you, the swink, Riley Osborne. You see how I got Colin Delaney? His name is Riley Osborne.
That's why you need the swink.
That's why you need. That's why, and he hasn't been able to come to the live chats in a while. But that's why you get the swink here, because he gets you with the Riley Osborne here. But so you have Kiana James with her laptop typing away feverishly, like the way you do it if you are making it obvious. You're like, oh yeah, I will pretend like I'm doing something, but she's just typing a lot, right. And it's like, what are you typing? There's a lot of typing going on, like. And she's like, we need to figure out how to stop these women of NXT so I could become the NXT Women's Champion or whatever. So they're at this. Apparently, you're supposed to think they're in an estate or something like that, and they have wine glasses on the table. And Joe, this is what I'm going to rant about for 45 minutes. It's not going to be 45 minutes. We have too much else to do. They can't do anything in this company right. It's just the wine glasses are filled with water.
How do you know it's water?
It's not white wine, and it's not red wine. It was water. It was clear. Unless you could find me, unless it was Zima, unless it was flat Zima, I don't know what.
You can't have these people getting bombed on the set of the NXT pre-tapes, right?
They could sip a little wine. You could put some wine. They don't have to drink the wine. Don't fill a wine glass with water.
It doesn't have to be a clear liquid. You can get like an apple juice in there.
That's what I'm saying. An apple juice. A grape juice. Grape juice looks just like red wine. Throw a grape juice in there.
That's true.
Pour some fucking champagne. Sparkling grape juice looks just like champagne, right? So I'm thinking, okay, it's just a setting. It's just a setting. That's fine. They just put 2 glasses and filled it with water, and that's fine. Then when the segment ends, they lift up their glasses, they cling them together, and they start drinking. I'm like, they're drinking water. But it works for the fact that this is a fucking Nickelodeon show, right?
Yeah.
It's a Nickelodeon
like a
show.
Disney Channel show.
It's a Disney Channel show. So I was like, right, they wouldn't have them drink alcohol because this is a show for 9-year-olds watched by 56-year-olds, right?
Yes.
It's a show for 9-year-olds that only 56-year-olds who are whacking off to Lola Vice are watching, and that's the show.
Right.
But I'm watching it for some reason, and I don't know why I'm watching it. So they cling their glasses together and drink their water out of their wine glasses, and I'm just like, oh my God, I hate this so much.
Everything about NXT is so...
Just fill the glasses. Somebody thought about that too, right? You know, somebody put a glass on the table and said, Now we're going to have to fill it with water. We don't want anybody to think you're drinking. Just don't do the wine glasses.
Oh, so your theory is it's water on purpose because they don't even want to pretend to be drinking.
I don't know what it was. I don't know. Or they just don't make any sense at all. I have no idea. But like, I think Kiana James could have a sip of wine doing a pre-tape.
Nah, you can't get drunk taping these.
They're not going to get drunk on a sip of wine.
You don't know how many takes this is.
Okay. You're taking Michael Hickenbottom's side. I can't believe this.
They might have to drink the whole box by the time
That's
they're
fine.
done. You know,
they're adult women. They can handle it. It's not the first box of
Can
wine.
they?
That's not the first box of wine that Kiana James and Izzy Dame have taken down. I'm sure of it.
do you want women getting drunk around Michael Hickenbottom?
Not really. No, actually. Now that you mention it.
Well,
You're right. Start to see it your way.
perhaps this was more responsible.
Right. I guess I'm now starting to see it your way. Yeah, especially after the maybe that's what they did. They filled it with wine. They said, well, after the events of the last week, maybe you guys should just drink water in case. Jordan Smith in Noto Chapman says, fill the glasses with chocolate milk and bendy straws. Yoo-hoo. Or have Lola Vice squirt the Hershey's syrup into her.
Bendy straw.
It's so good, but it just works.
Yeah.
NXT is the Nickelodeon show, man.
I don't know what to tell you. This show fucking sucks.
It's so bad.
Look, to me,
people will tell you it's good. People are going to tell you, and we have to watch these shows and tell people it's not.
There are 48-year-old men who will tell you that they're devoted. They think this show's great, and they watch it every week. Look, I'm on record. This is the worst pro wrestling show I have ever seen. NXT, the weekly NXT show. It's the worst. It's the worst elements of everything. It's baffling to me that anyone enjoys this that isn't a small child. Oba Femi took on Dragon Lee, and we had another Dragon Lee working at half speed with someone who can't keep up with him match.
Why did we hire Dragon Lee?
I don't know. This could be anyone. I don't know why you needed Dragon Lee if this is what you were going to do with Dragon Lee. I mean, you hire Dragon Lee and then you don't let him be Dragon Lee. I don't understand it. I don't know. He hasn't had a great match yet, right?
No, I don't think so. No.
Some of the Heritage Cup stuff, maybe?
Let
me look.
I don't know. I don't know if they've been that good.
What about the match with Butch? Did he have a match with Butch?
I don't know if I saw that one. Maybe that one. I didn't see that one. That sounds like it's good. That sounds like it should be good.
I saw it. It was pretty good. I can't call it great. It was on SmackDown. Let me pull up his cage match. I'm trying to think.
No, that's not going to help us.
Why wouldn't it help us?
Well, I mean, like if the ratings. I don't know if you're going to look at the ratings because I was going to say if the ratings are there.
No, I just want to look at his match and see if any of them refresh my memory as something that may have been good. What about the match with Nathan Frazier in the Heritage Cup? That's one that I.
Oh, you know what? That one was good. That was a good match.
That's probably
That was good.
Unless
No. That was good. If it's the match I'm thinking of, it was pretty good.
Yeah. So,
but I don't know if I'm signing Dragon Lee for one pretty good match against Nathan Frazier.
I mean, he's been in some multi-man matches that were okay. But yeah, mostly he's in matches with guys and he's just like working down to their level. And I don't. And
we say it all the time with NXT. What's perplexing is they have Adriana Rizzo doing Arena Mexico spots and then Dragon Lee slowing things down and working the ground game. It's like,
exactly. It doesn't make any sense.
The one guy capable of doing all the things that all these women are doing and doing them incredibly well, better than anybody on earth. You have him working, headlock spots with Obafemi, and then you have Adriana Rizzo doing, springboard topes and landing on people's faces on the way down and just destroying, orbital bones. It's like, all right, fine, whatever. Who cares? NXT Vengeance Day.
One thing about this match too is they were making it out like Obafemi was like just utterly destroying this man, and he really wasn't. The commentary was making it out like Dragon Lee's life was in danger. I was like, this isn't that much of a beatdown. Like they're making it out like who was on commentary here?
It was Wade. It was Wade because Booker had something. I forget. It was some medical thing or something. So Booker couldn't be there. So it was Wade and Vic Joseph.
At one point, Barrett's like, "Yeah, I don't know. Dragon Lee, he might be in there with a broken spine." And I'm like, why?
He took a clothesline. It's all right.
They're just having a match. Like, I didn't even feel like Obafemi was, this is one of those situations where the announcers are given a story to tell.
Right. The story of the match is that Obafemi is going to destroy and kill Dragon Lee.
Right. But then the work in the ring doesn't match the story because like Obafemi is like had 20 matches in his life and he just wasn't doing an effective job of working to the story that they told him to work to.
And I think he's got potential, by the way. I think he's somebody who I think is going to get somewhere. Yeah, he looks the part.
But the announcers have to be these robots and push the story they're told to push. So you have Dragon Lee just selling like these basic moves, and you have Wade Barrett acting like Dragon Lee's on the verge of death. And he's like, and then Vic Joseph's like, Wade, you're absolutely right. I wouldn't be surprised if the referee waves this one off. I'm like, why? This doesn't even look like a devastating beating. It just looked like a run-of-the-mill match. It didn't look like any kind of special beatdown he was giving him. So that's one of the flaws in this company, too, where everyone's got to stick to the script, even if it doesn't match what's in front of your fucking eyes.
Right.
And it's like, that's bad. That means it's a bad show. That means the match is bad. The commentary's bad. And it means this isn't good. So, why do people think this shit is good? There's like these massive glaring flaws in 5 out of the 6 matches on this show, or 4 out of the 6 matches, or whatever. And every time they have one of these, we have to hear about how great these shows are. 8.27 on Cage Match. 8.27! This has a higher rating than like the Collision from 2 weeks ago.
What?
Yeah.
8.27.
With some of the worst wrestling you'll see in like Major League Wrestling. I don't even know if it breaks me anymore. It's just I don't know.
Now it's a duty. It's a duty to watch these and let the world know how terrible these shows are.
Tell the truth of what these shows really are.
I don't dread it anymore. I feel it's our duty, our actual duty to come on here and watch these shows so that other people don't watch them, and then really explain what's going on here. Because you might from afar think this is good, or your favorite podcaster is telling you all about how great NXT is and how it's great at storytelling and developing characters and all that sort of stuff, and it's not. It's terrible. It's a bad wrestling show. It's bad porn level acting. The wrestling is bad. The commentary is bad. Everything is bad. It sucks. Terrible show.
They're all like all the pre-tapes and stuff. They're like cartoon. They're one-note cartoon characters. Every person here. It's just a gross fucking show. I hate it so much. Puts me in a bad mood even talking about it. Like,
that's why I didn't want to do it. I wanted to wait to talk about it.
Fucking horse shit is what it is. NXT. 8.27 for this fucking show.
8.27 for Vengeance Day.
I give this
a show
like
I will never think about ever again. I give it like a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, on a scale to 10, this is like a 4, this fucking show. You know, like I can't go much lower than that with the main event. And I did like the no DQ match. Yeah, like 3 or 4, maybe. This is easily a below average show. This is not an average pro wrestling show. It wasn't good enough to be an average pro wrestling show, let alone like better than Collision's been. Are you fucking kidding me? 8.27 for this shit? For Jada Parker falling all over herself?
That is NXT.
Alana Rizzo, or whatever the fuck her name is.
Adriana Rizzo.
Alana Rizzo's from MLB Network. This is Adriana Rizzo.
This is Adriana Rizzo. Yes. All right. That is Vengeance Day. Let's never speak of it ever again. Let's talk about TNA, Joe, because Scott D'Amore, the president of TNA, was relieved of his duties earlier this week, and his contract was terminated. Felt like a little bit out of nowhere, but we're going to talk about the story here a little bit. So here's a little bit of the background for people that do not know what happened. So rumors are still kind of swirling about the reasons why, and we have maybe some exclusive details that we can talk about of what happened there, but essentially, Anthem is sticking to the PR line that, quote, this move better aligns TNA with Anthem's goals. That's sort of just PR speak that they've said. So Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer speculated that perhaps a different philosophy in budgets and spending led to the dismissal. He said on Observer Radio, he being Scott D'Amore, had always been trying to get a bigger budget, and he'd always been rebuffed. So the idea here is that, he tried to get a bigger budget. He was maybe spending above his means, and they said, all right, pal, you got to go. That's kind of what Dave was sort of speculating, not necessarily reporting, but speculating. Now, Mike Johnson, who's been on top of this story from day one and had the story like a minute after TNA said that this is happening, Mike Johnson posted a very long piece all about it. So obviously he either knew about this or was holding the story or was a main source of it or whatever. But he kind of clarified this in a report today. Mike Johnson, a PW Insider, said, quote, the head of Anthem, Len Asper, and Scott D'Amore came to a crossroads regarding TNA's operations moving forward, and Asper won the war. Johnson said that D'Amore approached Anthem also with an offer to buy TNA, and D'Amore had backed this offer up with, quote, a letter with a major banking institution, although Anthem turned down D'Amore's offer and then told him a couple weeks ago that this was happening. And Johnson did state that D'Amore knew for about a week or so that this was going to happen, so it wasn't a total surprise for him, even if it was a total surprise for us. Now, that's why Mike Johnson had the whole story ready to go, because he knew this was coming. D'Amore knew it was coming. Impact knew, or the TNA knew it was coming. Anthem knew it was coming. It was just a matter of when they announced it. They announced it. Johnson had his report, and then we were all kind of piecing everything together from there. But regardless, president of TNA, Scott D'Amore, no more. The new president is, I don't have the link in front of me, some Italian dude, Antonio Ciccone or something like that, or Anthony Ciccone. He's just a dude at Anthem, right? He's not a wrestling guy at all. He's just a guy from Anthem, if I remember correctly.
No, he's a bean counter. So that's kind of the point of the story, in that this, let's get his name. It's Anthony. Let me see if I think
it's Anthony Ciccone, right?
Ciccone, is that what we're going with for pronunciation? All right,
Cicione. Ciccone, maybe Ciccone, Anthony Ciccone.
Wait, Cicione.
You should know this more than anybody.
Cici?
Yeah.
See, I have to see it. I don't know. So let's just go with Ciccone.
I think it's Ciccone, Ciccone or Ciccone. I think I grew up with a kid named Ciccone, but
it's Anthony Ciccone. He is a suit from Anthem. So what they're doing here is they're bringing in a bean counter, which tells you all, that really should tell you all you need to know. They feel like there's budget issues and TNA is losing money, and they're out with the wrestling guy and in with the guy who's going to come in and try to make this thing lean and try to lose the least money possible. That's what this move is. And when you really think about TNA and their business structure, it's very obvious that they're not making money because they don't have a television deal. And that obviously is the number one driver of revenue in pro wrestling these days. So then how are they making money? Ticket sales. Well, we know that they barely sell any tickets. So that's minuscule. Sponsorships. TNA doesn't have a bevy of big-time sponsorships at all, so we know that that's minuscule. International television deals. Well, we all know that's a running joke that places like TNA and MLW get all these international television deals, but none of them really amount to anything. You get a little exposure, you get a couple bucks, but there's very few big-ticket television deals outside of the United States unless you get extremely lucky in places like the UK or India or whatever, but they're not paying huge money for America's third or fourth brand of wrestling. So they're not bringing in a ton of money there. You look at pay-per-view. Even a good TNA pay-per-view is only doing a couple thousand buys. Maybe 10,000 buys if they really do a tremendous job. Most of them are doing less than that. So by the time you do the splits with the pay-per-view providers and everything else, that's not a ton of revenue. And then you have the streaming service. Rich, how many people are subscribing to Impact Plus? Let's be realistic about it.
It's got to be a
couple thousand tops.
Yeah, if that.
So, and then you have to pay money to maintain Impact Plus. So that's not even look.
And they redid it.
Bottom line,
and they redid it, by the way, too. This is not the same as what Impact Plus was. They redid it with this TNA Plus. It's a whole new platform.
Yeah, the bottom line here is you can see that without a television deal and with their minuscule ticket sales and pay-per-view buys, they're just not generating a lot of income. And it's reflected in the production. I mean, you could see that it's a very low-budget production, okay? And that's probably was one of Scott D'Amore's points of contention, needing more money to make this thing look like a major league product so that they could potentially score a television deal. But it's kind of a catch-22 because you're not bringing in revenue, so you don't have money to spend. You're already losing money. And look, they have a major league roster. Okay, nobody's doubting that. This is absolutely a major league roster. This is not an NWA level roster where it's a sub-major league roster. And, you know, they've got people who are making decent money there. You know, there's for the most part, most of that TNA roster are full-time wrestlers who are living off of their TNA salaries. These aren't weekend warriors who you're paying $50 a shot like maybe the NWA is. So they've got some costs in terms of talent because you have to have major league talent. You have to have some people who can you can attempt to sell some tickets with, who can go in there and have good matches and be real professionals. But the company just doesn't drive any revenue. So, you know, when you read these stories, it's just a matter of they're putting a guy in place who's a suit from above, who's going to try to see if they can lean this thing out, and they're not going to make money without a TV deal. That's just not going to happen. But maybe you can lose less money and just keep this thing hanging on until maybe a buyer, because a buyer for the television show. I mean, because they obviously don't want to sell it. Because if Mike Johnston's story is to be believed, they could have sold it to Scott D'Amore, and he had the funding and he had the backing, and they turned it down. So selling it is obviously not something they're interested in doing. Now, I don't know why D'Amore would even want to buy it. What are you buying? Unless he knows he can get a TV deal. And if he knows he can get a TV deal and he was like keeping that to himself, he deserves to be fired. So you know, I doubt that he knew he can get a TV deal, so he's crazy for wanting to buy.
Yeah, that would have been a wild idea. I mean, even with the idea that you're on Access, like they're not going to all of a sudden turn around now and start paying for TNA content.
Exactly.
Why would they do that?
Why should they pay for it when they have it for free now?
Right. So they'll like, well, you can stay on our network, but we're certainly not going to pay you for it. And then that's a terrible investment for Scott D'Amore because, you know, it's easy for Access to kind of justify it as a loss leader, a line item. Hey, we're getting content. We're paying X amount to get content or whatever, but whatever. This is Scott D'Amore putting his own money in there or putting another bank's money into this, as Mike Johnson said, you know, a letter from a financial institute or whatever or institution that he's saying, yeah, I'm going to buy this thing, but with no return on investment whatsoever. There's no way they're going to make any money back on that because I doubt he was going to be able to get any sort of substantial TV deal. I mean, we just saw what the NWA is dealing with right now, and Impact is a little bit higher than the NWA in terms of reach or whatever, but who's going to who in this ecosystem right now? What's a channel right now that has money burning in their pocket that's going to pay for TNA to be on their weekly? I mean, there's nobody. I mean, let's face it. And this company would be dead if it wasn't for Access. This company couldn't find a place for TV back 8-9 years ago when cable was still a viable alternative. It was a viable, still not necessarily thriving business, but still a viable business. It's way less viable now than it was. What network out there is going to pay for TNA content that had no interest in doing it 9-10 years ago? You know, when that company was dying on the vine until Anthem came and picked them up and saved them. But it's just, yeah, it's very weird. What my big question is because it's obvious, like you said, that this is a sort of cost cutting bean counter, you know, whatever Anthem says, this more closely aligns with Anthem's. It's just basically saying we want this thing to be cheaper, and D'Amore was spending too much money or whatever. But there was also this thing where at the end of last year, starting with Bound for Glory, and that was the show that I was at when they decided we're bringing back TNA, we're going to bring back the TNA brand, and with that, they said we're going to run bigger arenas, we're going to upgrade our production. We're going to rebrand everything, new ropes, new website, new streaming service, bigger venues, better cameras, better production, all this sort of stuff. Did he just do that without getting Anthem's blessing? Because we're only like a month or two into that quote unquote investment.
No. I think that, he's not signing the checks. I mean, it's not like he went rogue and gave Dolph Ziggler a 7-figure deal without anybody in Anthem knowing. He obviously had approval for all of these things.
Right. But then what is Anthem doing? Like, did they think this was going to be a giant return on investment 1 month in?
No, it reads to me like he wanted more. Like D'Amore wanted more and was telling them, hey, look, we have to, this production isn't going to cut it. Or we need to be even more competitive with free agents, and we need to lose even more money before we can think about making money, because we're not going to be attractive to television to television suitors until we have major league production. That's the read I have, that he wanted a bigger budget than they already had, and they're just tired of losing the money that they're losing. And
right. Said, all right, buddy, no, what we gave you is what we gave you, and we're done now. We're not adding
Here's
anymore.
What we have, and look, maybe if you can't work with what we're giving you, then you're not the right person for the position. And we need to bring someone in here who can find ways to cut corners so we're not losing as much money. And I talked to somebody in the company earlier today, and, a lot of this is their own conjecture and opinions from just being in the company and talking to people and so forth. But, there's concern that, when you remove a wrestling person and you bring in a suit, there's obvious concerns that, okay, what else is going to get cut? What other budget cuts are coming, right? And that's a legitimate concern. And to me, the question now is, what is this Ciccone going to be? Is he going to be Kip Fry and just stay out of the way and let the wrestling people run the wrestling show? Or is he going to be Jim Herd? And is he going to want to stick his beak in and be involved in everything? And if you don't know who Kip Fry and Jim Herd are, look them up, kids. Okay, get on your little Wikipedia and look up Kip Fry and Jim Herd, two of the endless string of WCW executives during the 90s that, just couldn't get the ship moving, but two vastly different philosophies. I don't know what this guy's going to be. And the other thing is, it's still the same creative team, even though the head of the creative team is now gone. It's the same basic team. I was told that it's essentially Tommy Dreamer, R.D. Evans, and Hunter Johnson, who are running this thing from the creative end. Okay, so with Dreamer being the one who seems to be the front runner to take the reins, which has to be scary because Tommy Dreamer is well known as one of the worst bookers in modern wrestling. I mean, anyone who remembers his OVW run and how bad that was, and they quickly had to remove him. I mean, Tommy Dreamer is just has a reputation for being a terrible creative mind. But is this guy going to stay out of the way, or is he going to have ideas? Is he going to be a Jim Herd where he wants to do the Christmas creatures who have humpbacks, who the idea is they can't be pinned, which was a real idea that Jim Herd once came up with? A wrestling gimmick where you can't pin them because they have a humpback? Or is he going to be someone who's going to stay out of the way and just concern himself with the budget and, and let the wrestling people do wrestling things? But I'm not confident in this creative team at all, because quite honestly, I don't think Impact's a good show, and I don't think TNA is booked well. I think there's way too many multi-person matches, especially on the pay-per-views. They leaned into intergender way too hard, and that didn't work. There's just a lot of things you don't like that maybe these were D'Amore initiatives that you don't have to worry about anymore, but I don't particularly have faith in anybody else that's left behind but I guess we'll see. Maybe things will change drastically because these were directives that were coming from him. But, before the last pay-per-view, there was 3 straight weeks of TV where they didn't even, it was like recap shows.
Right. Leading up to their rebranded, brand new show with the new TNA or whatever, the TNA Hard to Kill pay-per-view, they didn't have shows. They had recap shows. They didn't have actual shows building into the pay-per-view. And then the pay-per-view happened, and it was an interesting pay-per-view. We talked about it. We had, the return or the debut of Nick Nemeth in there, and there was some good stuff that happened throughout the show. But yeah, I don't know. Like, by and large, I've been really down on TNA over the last year, and there's been, I went to Bound for Glory. I enjoyed that. I had a fun time at that show. Mostly Will Ospreay and Mike Bailey was really what turned that entire show around. And obviously, you don't always have Will Ospreay at your disposal, but when you do, it's pretty good. And they did Will Ospreay versus Josh Alexander, and they did some of that stuff. But yeah, I've been largely down on it because, like you said, the week to week stories, the creative, the way that people are slotted in, the elevation of certain people, it's just all kind of weird and all kind of junky, and it's just kind of, at this point, it's just not a show that I'm entertained by. A fresh coat of
paint is something. I think it could use a fresh coat of paint from a creative standpoint. So that might be a positive of D'Amore being out. The problem is D'Amore was very popular among a lot of the wrestlers who have known him for many years. He's been loyal to a lot of the wrestlers. They like Scott D'Amore. So from that standpoint, there's been a lot of reports of a little bit of unrest on the roster with him being out.
That could be by design too. You're trying to save some money. Not a bad idea to let the favorite guy go, true. And maybe a bunch of people show up to your office and say, "Hey, can I get on my contract?" And they say, "Yes, yes, you could get out of your contract."
My contact speculated that some people may have only been with TNA because Scott D'Amore was there, and if there are people who can get offers elsewhere, that they'd be more apt to move on now without Scott D'Amore there. So there's a certain loyalty to him from a talent standpoint that you lose. Tommy Dreamer, it was agreed. The person agreed with me that Tommy Dreamer will probably be the most prominent person. Will be the big winner here because Tommy Dreamer is also heads up the talent relations with Gail Kim. So Dreamer is on both ends of this. He's heavily involved in the talent relations and he's heavily involved in the creative. And those things often go hand in hand. I mean, if he's picking the talent, if he's the one bringing people in, and then he's also coming up with a lot of the booking ideas, then obviously Tommy Dreamer is someone who has the potential to rise up the ladder here and gain a lot of power. If this Anthony Ciccone guy is going to be hands off and just leave it to the wrestling people, it could be Tommy Dreamer that ends up emerging as the big winner. And I don't know. I don't have a ton of confidence in that. And, R.D. Evans is a creative guy, but he's got a lot of wackadoo ideas too. He's an out there thinker. He's, I've seen some of his booking locally, actually. He booked a couple of the local indies out here that I used to go to about a decade ago. And again, he's a creative mind and a smart guy, but he's also, he's got some, and here's the thing, it's things like the Undead Realm. Like, it's like, I don't know how much of this were things that Scott D'Amore was heavily wanting to push that maybe will go away now that he's gone. The endless multi-person matches, the intergender, the Undead Realm, things like that. The endless gimmick matches. There's always a ton of gimmick matches in TNA. So who knows? It's we have to wait and see because it's not a complete cleaning out. It's just they've removed the head, but all of the underlings are still there in terms of the people driving the creative. And so I don't know how much it's going to change. You would think that with someone coming in and everyone understanding that this is a budget move and there could be more budget moves coming, that people would be on their toes and you might see some drastic changes because people have to justify their jobs now. What are you going to do different than what the last guy was doing? What are we going to present on TV different than when D'Amore was here?
Right.
And maybe people like Dreamer and the people that have to come up with some ideas now and say, well, shit, these guys are going to want to see results and we're going to have to try some different things because what we were doing before obviously wasn't good enough or to their standards. So we can't keep. So from that standpoint, you'll probably see some changes. How drastic will they be? I don't know. That remains to be seen. But I think this is a move that should be seen as concerning for the future of TNA because it's very clearly a money-driven move. And those are the scariest ones in pro wrestling, when you have a company that's very obviously losing money and someone coming in who's not from the pro wrestling world, whose job it is to lose less money. You know, this could be the start of some, you know, we've seen so many incarnations of TNA and they can move backwards and go. We've seen them in the past be totally stripped down.
Yeah. This has been, I mean, the run that they've been on since Anthem bought them, which, you know, I talked about at the beginning of the segment, like this company was dead. It was Billy Corgan's going to save this thing or somebody else is going to save this thing. And he tried like hell. He wanted to buy this fucking thing so goddamn bad. And eventually the Carters just kind of said, now we're good. We're done. We'll sell to Anthem. And Anthem came in, they bought it. And thank God they did, because this thing would have probably been done without them. It really would have. I don't know if Billy could have, maybe could have. I don't know. But Anthem buys it, gives them a TV thing. Because like, if you weren't around for what TNA was 10 years ago, I mean, that used to be a running joke on this show. We would come on and you would laugh about your adventures trying to watch TNA that week. And it's on Destination America. Wait, now it's not. Now it's on Pop. The one time it was just a fishing infomercial the entire time. They were supposed to show TNA and then they just didn't. It was just a fishing infomercial. One time it was just like a black screen for you, right? Wasn't it just black? It just never happened. Or it went to commercial and then never came back from commercial. Wasn't that the gimmick?
There was an episode on Destination America no, not Destination
was it
America.
Pop TV?
No, it wasn't Pop TV. It was the hunting outdoor channel that Anthem
No, that was
owns.
Destination. Wasn't that Destination? Or no?
No. It was even lower than that. It was the if you pull up Anthem, I'm sure that because the network still exists. Let me see if I could find it. It was the worst network.
Pursuit.
They were ever. I was like,
Pursuits. Yes, thank you, Andrew
Pursuit.
Rich.
It was
Andrew
Pursuit.
Rich. Thank you, Andrew Rich, in the note of chat room. Pursuit.
So,
I forgot they were on Pursuit.
When they were on the Pursuit channel, which is like an outdoors channel, and it was just a place for them to park it when they were trying to figure out their next move. This was beneath Pop, beneath Destination America.
Pursuit.
And they had a really hyped Michael Elgin, Rich Swann match, which was getting a lot of buzz. And the match started with 15 minutes left in the show. They went to commercial and they never came back. The commercial, which was for a fishing lure, okay, a glow in the dark fishing lure, ran on a loop, the same 2-minute commercial for the remaining 15 minutes of the show. So it was some kind of production glitch or something, but it was just this commercial for the fishing lure over and over and over, and they never aired the Michael Elgin Rich Swann match. So that's what happened. That's what the story you're thinking about on the Pursuit channel. And at that time, they were also running on Twitch, which, I mean, geez, you're on the Pursuit channel and you're on Twitch. I mean, it doesn't get much lower. I mean, you basically barely exist at that point.
Right. So
but my point is,
they're better off now. Yeah, they're way better off now than they were then. But
of course,
it definitely. But we can get back there. We can definitely get back to that point.
Well, yeah, absolutely. What I'm saying is, they can be running. You know, anyone who's making even a halfway decent livable salary might be released. That's a possibility because they're tired of losing money and they don't seem interested in selling it. And it doesn't look like a television deal is on the horizon. Who would put that on TV? I mean, I'm not trying to but put on Impact. That's not a major league production. You can't sell that to a legitimate network the way that show looks right now. You can't. You know, and it's kind of a catch-22, and maybe D'Amour's right that they needed to pour more money into that side of it, or they couldn't. There was no chance to sell the show.
They're kind of in a no man's land, and I get it from both perspectives. I get D'Amour probably saying, "Hey, look, we gotta up this if we want this to feel like a major league production." That's kind of what they were talking about at the end of last year. We're going to start go into bigger buildings. We're going to bring the TNA back. We're going to get more lighting, or our production's going to look better. Things are going to look better because as we stand right now, we're just spinning our wheels, not doing anything. We're not going to grow if we're doing the same thing because we haven't grown and we're not growing. So I get D'Amour's thing, but I also get Anthem saying, well, yeah, but we don't really want to spend that much money on this thing because we're not getting a return on this thing. We're just going to
lose more money.
Right. We're spending all this money and we're getting, X amount of that. We'd go over the numbers of Impact sometimes on the show. It's not a lot of people watching Impact. So it's like, all right, well, we're going to spend all this. I don't know if we're going to get a return on this thing. So you know what? No, we're not spending any more money. We're going to run this thing lean. And that is the worry to me is that how lean does this thing get? That is really the question, and I don't know.
Yeah, see, to me, that should be the story here. Is this guy going to come in and continue to lean it out and just try to lose? But at that point, then what's your plan to start making money? Because if you start cutting stars and you start slashing the roster, whatever little momentum they have coming off a pay-per-view that was a nice little success by their standards of success. And D'Amore is very popular not only among the wrestlers, but he seems to be very popular among fans as well. And this move did not come across as a good PR move. It came across as a poor PR move from that standpoint. A lot of people don't understand why this guy was let go. And I've seen so much chatter that like Tony Khan should hire Scott D'Amore. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Based on what? I mean, I guess I'm just not as impressed with where TNA is right now as some other people are. And I guess we talked about that a little bit a couple of weeks ago, but, and I think a lot of that is the WWE friendly media, or rather the anti-AEW media, I should say, and some of the hardcore WWE fans who have started to use TNA as part of their anti-AEW agenda. There's
we talked a couple weeks ago where they're like, a couple good months and TNA could maybe be the number 2 promotion in America. It's like, get out of here.
Which is nothing more than a passive aggressive swipe at AEW. Is all that is. And if I were a TNA fan, I'd be so like put off and annoyed by that. Like, fuck you. Like, leave us alone. We have our little promotion here. We mind our business. Don't use us as a pawn in your silly tribalism war. You know what I mean? Because that's all it is when people do that shit. Because if it isn't, then these people are just very stupid. Because it's not even, where TNA is right now compared to where AEW is right now. It's not even in the same fucking universe. Isn't even a strong enough word. So it's like a lot of the chatter about how hot TNA is, you have to be careful, because I think a lot of it is these people playing the tribalism game and using TNA as kind of a pawn, or, in that sort of larger discussion. But, they are coming off a shockingly successful pay-per-view by their standards. And it does come across as a weird move from a PR standpoint to fire the guy now. But as has been reported, this has kind of been in the works for a while. And obviously doing, 10,000 pay-per-view buys or whatever it is they did for their last show, which I think a lot of that was helped by the branding change. And, obviously it's still not good enough to make money. They haven't done, when's the last time they've sold 2,000 tickets for a show? Did you have the answer? I couldn't even tell you, right?
Because what they get to, we talked about that one, the one they did recently. Like I said, I can't look things up on my computer.
The show they just had, they sold what? It was like 1,500 tickets or something.
Somewhere around there.
The biggest house. And let me get the exact number. And that was the biggest house they had done in 8 years, or the biggest gate they had done in 8 years. And it was under 2,000 fans. Let me make sure so people don't yell at us if we were wrong. It was the
Hard to Kill
pay-per-view. Yep. Yeah, 1,630 fans.
Good house.
And that's their biggest house in 8 years. That's not sustainable. You can't, you're losing money hand over. This is what we talked about when we did this topic a few weeks ago. Yeah, this was a nice little house for them, and they did some shockingly good pay-per-view buys, but they're still a company that's in the shitter. They're losing money. So this idea that Scott D'Amore is going to come in and why would Tony Khan hire him for what? To do what exactly? Tony Khan's the booker. And he already has 1,000. He already has too many people in the room. Believe me.
Yes.
Okay. There's too many people in that room to begin with. What's Scott D'Amore going to bring to the table? Is he going to pitch intergender? Is he going to pitch the Undead Realm? Is he going to pitch doing 4 multi-person match, on every pay-per-view? Because if that shit was all at minimum green lighted by him. So I don't even think that their creative is all that hot. They belt people up before they're ready, and now look, I know when you're a promotion at TNA's level, you got to take some chances, right? You have to, and see if something works. But they've had so many world champions recently that don't feel like world champions. No disrespect to Alex Shelley. Did he feel like a world champion to you? Not to me.
A little bit here and there, but not much. Not like the guy that's like the tippy top star. A guy. No one's watching that show because Alex Shelley's the world champion. You know what I mean? They're not.
No, he's a guy on the roster. He's a nice little wrestler. Let's be honest about Alex Shelley. He's not a world champion. Okay. I don't think they gave Macklin enough rope.
No, his push was, he was definitely a guy that was catching fire and was a new person that hadn't been overexposed for years and years and years, and they kind of cut him off at the right before he got there, which it kind of sucks.
Yeah, and I think Josh Alexander, when he beat Christian Cage for the title and they did that stupid angle with Moose, I thought that was a mistake.
Yes. Yeah, they've never really run with Josh Alexander as the tippy top guy for a long time either.
Well, they gave him the title later for like a year, but I think they fucked him up.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he got the title, but when he did get the title, he didn't feel like a tippy top guy anymore. When he won that title from Christian Cage, that felt like a big move, and they immediately undercut him immediately with the Moose thing.
Literally 10 minutes later, they undercut him. You know, that's like, as I said, I've never been a fan of their creative under this regime. I think it's big time overrated. Their creative. They do a lot of dumb shit that I don't like. They have a lot of philosophies I don't agree with. But even outside of my personal taste, just look at their business. So Scott D'Amore, to me, is not some hot commodity from a front office or creative standpoint. He just isn't, in my opinion. I would have no interest in Scott D'Amore in running my wrestling company based on what I've seen from his body of work. I don't know. But again, we see if there's drastic changes now with him gone. Maybe he just was more of a, maybe he didn't micromanage his creative team. And maybe these were the ideas of Tommy Dreamer and R.D. Evans and whoever else has a voice in the room. But I guess we'll find out. But, they got Moose as the world champion. He's under long-term contract. Jordan Grace, who you have to think when her deal comes up is going to be a hot commodity and will be exit stage left as soon as she can. That's the impression I get.
Oh, after that Royal Rumble, I think there's no doubt that I think WWE would definitely see what they have in her for sure.
Yeah, and they got people on the roster who were loyal to D'Amore who are going to be watching very carefully, and if they don't like the way the lay of the land is, they might be out of there as soon as they can be too. I was told that directly from someone in the company, that that's a definite possibility. So, yeah, look, I don't know. I don't know, based on what's reported and based on my personal opinions of the company, I'm not as taken back by this move as maybe some other people are. I think it won't hurt to have a fresh outlook, a fresh coat of paint. But the disclaimer is, if it comes with other massive budget cuts, they don't have a chance anyway.
No. And that's how do you not think that's what's going on here?
It seems to be exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I think
D'Amore
it definitely is.
Was smart enough to know that he needed more money, and they weren't willing to lose more money. I could honestly see both arguments.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. They're really they're in a catch-22. They're in this very weird spot where we got to spend money to make money, and Anthem saying, well, we don't want to spend any money. And it's like, well, then I guess we're just going to do whatever this shit is that we're doing right now. And it's not going anywhere. So you can imagine that the next step would be, okay, well then let's cut some costs and then maybe we'll make some money that way. Rarely works, but I get it. I don't know. So that's it. Well, that story will obviously, we're not done with that story. That will definitely come up, and I'll be very curious how TNA looks a couple weeks from now, next pay-per-view, that sort of stuff, with the new potential new creative direction going on with TNA. Quickly, let's talk about AEW. They announced Tony Khan's major announcement this week, which, by the way, if you want a full review of Dynamite this week, that is available on the $5 tier over there at flagshippatreon.com. You do your Thursday Dynamite reviews each and every week, and you have a review of this last week's Dynamite, which was a great show. And you've officially declared AEW back, feeling restored. Wrestling is back. We won't have to get into too much of what happened on Dynamite.
I'm confident enough to say it now. Have you seen enough or no?
I think I'm there. I think I'm not ready all the way yet to declare us officially back. I want to see when MJF comes back. That's my worry. Right now it's good because he's gone and Cole's kind of gone-ish. I'm a little worried when both those guys are back. Can I at least report back to you when MJF comes back?
I had those same concerns on the show I just did. But
Because I agree, but also there's this looming, large figure looming in the background there that I just can't shake just yet.
The overall energy and vibes of the promotion feel like we're back to what we all loved about it before last year.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Even if not every show lands. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's not about every show landing. It's not about every show being great. It's about you can
that's
tell
not going to happen. That's not
it's a vibe thing. Yeah, you could definitely tell when it's the direction that you, me, and a lot of people listening to this want out of this company. It feels like a true alternative. It feels different. It feels like a professional wrestling show.
Yeah, and the kind of stories we want told.
Yeah, and like you always say, all the right people are upset about it, and that's how you know it's good.
That's how you know it's good. That's absolutely how you know things in AEW are going well. When all of the usual suspects are telling you how bad it is. That's when you know it's good. Historically, go back and look. When those people start telling you that AEW is turning the corner and they're doing well, that's when you should be concerned. All these people who will go, they haven't told a good story since the devil. Those are the people you have to pay attention to.
Right. That's the person. Yeah, you follow.
They're the ones where when they say it's going bad, that's when they're complaining. That's when the show's probably been really good. So, and it has been. AEW's been really good. So we got this, as we speculated on last week, and we were right on the money, except for the fact, no pun intended, except for the fact that they didn't name Mercedes Moné directly. They are doing the CM Punk thing, which we shit on when someone suggested that last week. I thought they would just name her. They're not going to do that, but they named her without naming her. So it's what's the difference between?
Yeah, this is as far as you can go without naming her. I figure you should just at this point name her because it's like, we're going to do AEW Big Business from Boston's TD Garden. Here's the graphic. It's purple. It's pink. It's bright blue. There's lasers all over the place. And then just in case you're not quite sure what they're doing with this wink, wink, nudge, nudge, AEW Big Business at Boston's TD Garden, and everything's in purple and blue with lasers. On the marquee on the graphic, it says Boston Boss, BOSS, with two money signs instead of the S's, just in case you weren't quite sure what they were hinting at. They threw that in there just to let you know it's fucking Mercedes. At this point, just say Mercedes. You know what I mean? Like at this point,
I mean, we're walking the line of copyright infringement that's so obvious,
right?
So they essentially named her without naming her. But yeah, we put the clues together last week. I had heard last week that they had a Boston show scheduled. You look at their schedule. The only date they hadn't announced a city for was March 13th. So, and then when you combine that with the reporting from Sean Ross Sapp that Sasha Banks was going to debut in March, well, okay, then it all made sense. She's from Boston. March 13th is open. That's going to be the Boston date, and that's where they're going to debut her. And the big announcement is probably going to be Tony Khan announcing Sasha Banks for March 13th in Boston. And that's exactly what we got last night, just without officially saying her name. So, which I guess makes things a little more exciting when you turn on the show that
But we'll see how ticket sales go. I mean, if ticket sales get starting a little slow, do you pivot and say, hey, just in case you don't know, Mercedes Moné,
make it a little more obvious?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing. There's another big-time free agent who has a financial / money-based gimmick. Is there a possibility they both debut that night?
That's very possible, yeah.
Or if you do because Tony Khan's very confident right now. You can tell on the way he tweets. What do we always say? We have a good feel
puffy chested, man. That chest is so puffing right now.
And did you see his eyes last night?
The eyes.
Did you look in his eyes?
I looked in those eyes. I gazed deeply into those eyes, and
he's so confident. He knows he's got shit up his sleeve. I think he knows he has both of them. I really do. And I don't know if you do both in the same night. Don't you try to pop another rating at some point?
Yeah. I pop another rating, another date, something for sure.
And not take attention from, don't split the attention, from that standpoint either. But, it wouldn't stun me if it's both of them that night. But big business from Boston, 5 weeks away. And, they've got her. And then the follow-up reporting from Sapp was that she's been on the payroll since January. So, it's very deliberate and careful in how they're going to roll her out. And she must be physically ready because that's been the hang up all the way. Like, they didn't want to bring her in and announce her until she was physically ready. And yeah, you had a feeling that this is where she wanted to be because, they did fly her out to Wembley and show her on camera. And the only kind of trip up was, all right, does she have a better relationship with Paul Levesque than she did? Because we know she didn't like Vince McMahon. She walked out on Vince McMahon, right? So it's like, did she have a better relationship with Levesque? That was really the only question. And then Naomi goes back, right? But no, she's standing her ground and she's not going back, apparently for a very long time. So, I mean, good for her. And it looks like this decision was made before the lawsuit and all of that. So, you know, that wasn't even a factor. She just chose AEW. And, you know, Tony Khan doesn't lose a lot of these. He really doesn't. I mean, he's had guys jump. You know, he's had Cody jumped and whatever weirdness happened there. Punk, he had the fire. But he won Punk the first time. He won Will Ospreay. He won Sasha. You know, so, and I was told straight up, look, if he loses on Okada, it's not because he got outbid. Tony Khan will not be outbid for Okada, is directly what I was told from someone who would know and was very confident about that. So that's the next big, and free agents don't get much bigger than that.
No. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what kind of business she moves here, and I'm curious to see, but yeah, I think you and I were a little bit more negative on her, but not necessarily that we think she's like you still sign her 100 times out of 100, of course, but
you have to sign her.
Of course,
you have to sign her. Of course, sign her.
But yeah, what level of business is she going to move that she didn't move for New Japan? Maybe people see this as a true spot for her, and they didn't quite believe in the New Japan thing. I don't know. Well, I don't have a very good read on it. I don't know if like the New Japan stuff is truly like what the barometer for her is, or if a lot of people are just going to not even know that she did the New Japan thing and just think that this is her like redate. You know, there's probably a large amount of people that think that this is the first time that she's back, or I don't know. It's
yeah, there might be some people who were like, look, I'm not going to pay attention to any of this New Japan stuff. If she comes back to American TV, I'm in.
Right.
And that could be it. And she's a proven ratings mover. We know that. We'll see. You know, we'll see how the tickets went on sale yesterday, Wednesday. So, you know, we'll track the tickets, and obviously if they sell out this basketball building, you have to credit her. The way that their ticket sales have been lately, and the fact that they're very obviously building this show around her. If we turn around in a week and there's 9,000 tickets out, and it's very obvious they're going to sell out the building by the time the show rolls around, you have to credit her for that. So we find out this is where the rubber meets the road with Monet. So look, he brought in Monet. He brought in Deonna Purrazzo. He's going to have Jamie Hayter coming back from injury. He's going to have Britt Baker back eventually.
That's a good division. That's starting to be a good division.
Bringing in Camille. You know, Camille is now a possibility since her thing with WWE fell apart. There's a segment of the fan base who's very much into the timeless Tony gimmick. You know, look, Serena Deeb is back and they're giving her a push. You know, all of a sudden, that's a very healthy looking women's division that they have. And I was thinking about this the other day. Like, do you miss Jade Cargill at all?
No, zero.
Like, I'm kind of relieved that she's not there having her 4-minute matches, right? Like, isn't it a relief that there's pay-per-views and you don't have to worry about them crowbarring Jade Cargill into the pay-per-view to have a shitty 4-minute match? Like, as an AEW fan and someone who enjoys the shows, like, I'm kind of glad she's gone. She felt like, all right, well, we have to put her on these shows and we have to push her because she's like this burgeoning star, but she always dragged the shows down. She just wasn't a good fit for the promotion. And the further removed they are from her, I feel like the better off they are. It just wasn't a good fit. And the better off she is, to be honest.
I definitely agree. Yeah, and there's I kind of feel the same thing about MJF too. It's like not, you know what I mean? Like there's a couple of people that have left that are not around anymore that feel like a weight has been lifted off the company a little bit. And it does feel like there's more spot. And this is why I want people to leave companies all the time. I always say this. It's my favorite thing about wrestling in years past is like people come and people go, and the thing about people leaving is new people can step up in and get in those spots. But if the same people are around forever and ever and ever and ever and never give up spots and are always where they have to be, and you always got to push into a certain level, then you just get the same people over and over and over again, and nobody moves. And sometimes it's good that Jade, you look at Jade and go, all right, not worth the money. All right, go. We wish you luck in your future endeavors. Move on, and yeah, it helps. Move up a bunch of new women that can now kind of take over a new part of that division, and it has definitely raised the ceiling of the women in general in that company. And they've de-emphasized Sky Blue. She's not wrestling every single week anymore, and you could see it.
God, we haven't seen her in weeks. It's
right.
Great. You think they finally realized that she wasn't catching on, or do you think? I mean, she could be hurt.
Yeah, it's AEW. You never know. She could be hurt, and we just don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
They never tell you when people are hurt. But, I mean, is it possible they realized, look, we tried this for a fucking year. We've changed her gimmick. We're not getting anything back. This is a one-sided relationship. Do you think there's a possibility of that? I mean, because I never noticed that she was any kind of ratings mover.
No.
She's obviously terrible in the ring. So I don't know. Maybe maybe that project is over for now. I don't know. But because we haven't seen her in a while.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. Knock on wood. I mean,
no, I agree. And I don't think she's hurt because I thought I saw her getting booked at some certain places. I know she's been taking some indie bookings or whatever. So maybe it's very possible that they just said, all right, look, we're going to try something a little different here. We've been pushing you to the moon for the last year and a half, and it's not really going anywhere. So let's try something different. And Joe, I support that idea if that is what indeed was happening there.
Indeed support that as well.
I agree that is not a bad idea. All right, let's get to a few of these other shows that we wanted to talk about before we sign off here. New Japan coming this weekend with New Beginning in Osaka. Big time show this weekend for New Japan Pro Wrestling. The main event is going to be the 10-man steel cage match, War Game style between United Empire and Bullet Club War Dogs. Are you upset with the War Game style there, or are you fine with the idea that this has to be War Games? It's probably better than just 10 guys in a cage together at the same time, right?
I'm all right with it. It's a New Japan cage match. Have they ever done one? I mean,
I think in their history, they've done like 2 or 3 cage matches ever, but it's very rare.
So it's
very
like,
rare.
I don't know what the fuck it's going to look like anyway. I'm open to anything. I think that Will Ospreay is not going to allow himself to go out without having an incredibly crazy. And I think there might be a big angle in the match because with Will Ospreay leaving, you're going to have to do something with United Empire, and we can see some turns. And I think these guys are all pretty fucking crazy. So, I think the match it's a very, very, very interesting match. And I think it's going to be newsworthy for things other than the quality of it by the end of it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you could see definitely guys switching and flopping and turning. It has the feeling of like a classic old school War Games match where you could totally buy TJP turning on the United Empire and joining the War Dog. You know what I mean? Something like that. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like just something happening for sure. But you could definitely see that. And Will's going to go out in the best way possible too. Like you said, he's going to go and I'm sure just absolutely kill it in this match. And I'm looking forward to this. I think the build's been great. I think a lot of the matches in the lead up have been great. So really, really excited for this match. And it's just, I feel like it's going to be just a fucking war. And these guys are going to be doing a style of match that's very unfamiliar to New Japan Pro Wrestling. I think they're going to understand that too, that they are doing this match that's just really out there. And there's a lot of, ways that you can do this match and do it well and do it to the best of its ability. So I'm very, very excited to see what these guys come up with. There's too many great wrestlers in this match, too many great people involved for this not to be really, really good. So looking forward to that as well. The semi-main event is Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. Just kind of not a whole lot of build here, but you know what? Who fucking cares? It's Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. They'll wrestle and it'll be great. Mean,
they had that wild main event at New Year Dash with TMDK on the other side, and TMDK won that match. It was Danielson, Moxley, Okada, and Ishii, right? I know it's going back a month now, but that was the last time Danielson was there. So
right.
And he was paired off with Zack Sabre Jr. in that match, and I thought that match rocked. That was the main event, and I'm just thinking about how much of great Bryan Danielson we were robbed of for so many years. When you look at what he's got going on right now, this incredible feud with CMLL in AEW and this Hechicero stuff, which has been great, while he's concurrently working New Japan and feuding with Zack Sabre Jr. I mean, we could have had years and years of this out of this guy. And instead, he was playing grab ass in WWE. Now, look, some of that stuff was really good. Okay, he had some really good years there.
Oh, he's really good. So, of course, he would rise. And I always brought this up with him that, like, he's so good that he is going to do WWE sports entertainment style wrestling great, too, because he can do any style of wrestling great. He can do hardcore, he can brawl, he can grapple, and he can do sports entertainment bullshit, too, because cream rises to the top. So, of course, he was going to make the most of it and do well. But, yeah, it doesn't mean that was the best use of him, and it clearly was not the best use of him.
Because, man, it's just he's so great.
And how happy is he, too? How happy. When he came out for that Okada match at the Tokyo Dome, the smile on that guy's face. And I said it right. I said it when we did our reaction show to the Wrestle Kingdom. I was like, this dude cannot wait to get back to Japan. And he's here a month later. And he's going to smile all big and come out here, kind of a grapple fest with Zack Sabre Jr. in Osaka, and it's going to fucking rock. I can't wait. I think this match is going to be great.
Yeah. And it's just we were robbed of years and years of this. And he's going to pop up in Arena Mexico in a couple weeks. And that's going to be incredible.
Oh, how great was that little promo, too? I don't know if we mentioned that. We mentioned it a little bit on the Tuesday flagship, but yeah, Moxley saying, like, hey, you coming to our backyard? Well, yeah, you know what? We might be coming to your backyard. And I was like, fuck yeah. Can you imagine those fucking dudes cracking their necks, getting ready to run out at Arena Mexico to do, oh, God, it's going to be great.
Yeah, and then this week they got Star Jr. and Esfinge in the mix, and I haven't seen spoilers. Did those guys work Rampage?
I have not seen spoilers either. Yeah, I have not. I'm gonna watch.
I know Mystico.
I'm a Rampage guy now. I'm a Rampager. I'm watching it first run. I used to like look at the spoilers because I'm like, whatever. I ain't gonna watch Rampage. I'm watching Rampage now, man. I got those on the DVR. I wake up Saturday morning or if I'm around Friday night, watching Rampage live, man. If those guys are gonna be on that show, fuck, I'm not reading spoilers anymore. I gotta watch that.
Well, I think they did Mystico versus Matt Sydal. But I don't know, like, if the other two guys are here, why wouldn't they not work? So, fuck it. Let me pull that up and see if those guys worked. I could look at the card and not the. I know they did Mystico and Sydal. All right, here's the Rampage from Phoenix. No, it was just they cornered him. Esfinge and Star Jr. cornered Mystico against Matt Sydal on Rampage. But you would think that those guys will be around for the Collision show in Henderson, right? Yeah, they're booked.
Oh, they're booked. All right, awesome. Hell yeah. Okay.
They're wrestling Castagnoli and Moxley. Esfinge and Star Jr. versus Castagnoli and Moxley on Collision. So there you go.
That's the best, man. What other company?
How cool is that?
What other company is booking shit like that? Nobody.
That and Orange Cassidy versus Tomohiro Ishii.
Right, of course, naturally.
So there you go. Yeah, but that my point is, Danielson, we were robbed of so many years, and I wasn't afraid to say it, and people would call me nuts, and I'm like, I'm telling you, it's like we're getting 70% of what we can get with this guy at best if he wasn't in this dopey company. And as soon as he leaves, he's doing like the best work of his life.
Yeah, it's fucking incredible work, and he looks happier than ever, and yeah.
When he's healthy, it's the best work of his life. The problem is he's very brittle. He cannot stay healthy. But when he's been healthy, he's been incredible and just doing such incredible shit. Anyway, let's talk about the rest of the show. Oh, by the way, Kazuchika Okada and Hiroshi Tanahashi are possibly wrestling for the final time.
Right, and it's fourth from the top, though. It's not the third from the top. No. IWGP Tag Team titles, God, Phantasmo and Hikuleo defending against Chase Owens and Kenta gets a little more higher building than Tanahashi versus Okada for the last time, potentially. Very likely.
Well, my point was going to be we crammed it into the back end of the third hour.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's the most important rivalry to this show. This show doesn't exist in this form without this rivalry.
Mm-mm.
And we've crammed this match the last time they may ever wrestle. Right? Because Tanahashi might not wrestle much longer. Even if Okada pops into New Japan or comes back to New Japan someday. This could be it. One of the most legendary rivalries in the history of the fucking sport comes to an end in Osaka, potentially here. I bet in hindsight, they wish they booked Joe Hall, right? I mean, they would have sold the fucker out. which tells you that they weren't sure he was leaving.
Right. It's all been very weird, and I don't know. It doesn't feel like they've done. I don't know. Do you feel like there's in Japan? There's a whole lot of interest in this Okada finale thing. It's just
this will be sold out. They're treating him with a lot of respect. They're not asking him to do jobs on the way out, nor should they. I don't believe they should either.
I guess that Corkin match was awesome. Now that I'm thinking about it, that match was fucking incredible, and the crowds loved him and stuff. I'm probably letting a little bit of what other people are saying cloud it. He's going to come out in Osaka, and people are going to go fucking ape shit and go nuts.
It's going to be emotional. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be great. And I had no problem with them retaining the 6-man titles. I saw some people saying he should have lost to Fujita. Come on, get lost with that. I don't agree with that at all. You could argue that after Inoki, this is the next guy in the legacy, in the history of the company in terms of most important people. You're not going to have him lose the 6-man open weight never trios titles to someone who was a young boy 10 minutes ago. I'm sorry, that's just not how you do things. I don't care how you feel about him leaving. I don't care how you feel about the chatter that maybe he didn't want to work with the younger guys. You can't have him lose that match to that. You just can't. You stop it. So I have, and I think they're treating him with the reverence he deserves, whether you feel he did the company dirty or not. And I think there's going to be an emotional match, and it's just so bizarre that normally we'd lead with that. It's just the whole. You're right though. There's just a weirdness around it too, though. It's still surreal, I think, that he's leaving.
Yeah, I think that's maybe it.
It doesn't really feel real, is what it is. And we don't know what he's going to do in Sapporo. I think this might be different if this was the last match. But he's got these other 2 weird final matches coming up in Sapporo, and we don't even know what he's doing.
Yeah, this may have been the right one to just say, you know what, pal, this is probably the last one to you and Tanahashi. That's it.
Yeah. But I think maybe it was kind of a deal where, all right, let's have him work all the big cities on the final tour. We'll send him to Osaka,
let every city have their last chance to see him and buy a ticket to see him or whatever. Yeah.
Have him do Corkin, have him do Osaka, have him do Sapporo, the big cities that we have booked for this tour, and and then there's a bunch of undercard stuff, but we got some other stuff.
Yeah, there's the rest of the undercards doesn't matter. It's Tanahashi and Okada, Danielson and Sabre, and the 10-man tag War Games. Those are the 3 matches you're looking out for. I doubt anybody listening to this is slapping their hands together, getting excited about the rematch from 2 weeks ago. Phantasmo and Hikuleo versus Chase Owens and Kenta. I don't think anybody out there is ready for that one. So.
God, I mean,
that's got to follow Tanahashi and Okada. Imagine the emotion dump that's going to happen from that match, and those guys are going to get out of the ring, and then 2024 Kenta is going to walk out and wrestle. That's not going to be. It's not going to be great, but looks like a hell of a show. Though,
I mean, if I could, I would skip that match, but we have to watch it.
Right.
That's a skip. If you're just a fan. You don't have to watch that shit.
It's not going to be good. Or if it's good, you know what? If you find out it's good, people tell you it's good, you can go back and watch it. But
the problem with New Japan right now, and I struggle with I've been catching up on New Japan, and I'm still a little bit behind, but I'll be caught up before Osaka. There's a lot of people in the company I have no interest in watching right now.
There's a lot of people in the company I have no interest in watching right now.
Like, Phantasmo and Hikuleo are the least interesting tag champs they've had ever in my fandom. I mean that. Like, I will take another Gorillas of Destiny, like the real Gorillas of Destiny. I'll take another Tangaloa Tama Tonga run over this. I mean, I have no use for this team. And I am totally out on Hikuleo. I loathe that I have to watch. Here's another one. I know everyone's raving about this match he just had that I haven't seen yet. Gabe Kidd just has go away heat with me. I know he's a good young wrestler and all. This edgelord thing, I don't know. It's sometimes a gimmick just rubs you the wrong way. I have no use for Gabe Kidd. I don't want to watch his stuff. Same thing with a lot of the War Dogs. I can't get into it.
Yeah, when you add in the War Dogs, which I'm not all the way into, but I think for the purposes of this particular story, I'm into it. But overall, I'm not that into the War Dogs.
I'll be into the cage match, but and then Sonata.
I was going to say most of Just Five Guys. I don't care about House of Torture. I'm kind of bored of El Desperado. It's a lot of up and down the card where I'm just kind of like I've seen all these people for years and years and years and years and years, and the people that I haven't seen, I'm not that interested in seeing. So yeah, I'm in a weird spot with New Japan as well right now. But this show should hopefully re-engage me a little bit.
There's stuff here to sink your teeth into.
Yeah.
All right, let's get through the rest of this stuff.
Let's talk about quickly MLW SuperFight 2024.
You want to do Noah? First?
Yeah, we're in Japan. Let's do Noah. Let's do Noah. So, big news out of Noah. That makes sense. Main event for this crossover 2024 in Sendai. By the way, 1,104 people in the Sendai Sun Plaza for this one. That's I don't think that's a good number, Joe. 1,104 people for a big show at the Sendai Sun Plaza. Not great. Many more people will listen to this show. That's not good.
Yeah, it's less than companies are doing in Corkin.
Right.
And, it's they did the Kano versus El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. title match, which obviously wasn't a big draw. They did a title change. El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., he just re-signed with the company. There was some thought that he might leave. We talked about that a few weeks ago. And do you think it's possible this was part of the deal to get him to stick around?
I feel like it was. That was going to be my take.
Hey, look,
this is going to be my take. Was, hey, I'll resign, but can I get a little run with the strap? And they said, sure. Why not?
Or maybe they offered it to him and said, hey, look, we'll give you a little run here with the top title if you stick around. Because we really like you. You're a breakout guy. You've done good work. Because otherwise, this doesn't make a ton of sense.
It felt like it came out of nowhere. Even in the context of the match itself, it felt like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it felt like just a little placeholder title defense for Kano, get through an upper mid card or move on to whatever feud you're going to get into. And then the fucking guy wins the title, and it's like, I like him as a worker. Like, I enjoy watching him. Like, but it's the same old story with Noah. It's just, they do things that don't seem to make a lot of sense and haven't been built well. And they just kind of like, it's shoulder shrug booking. It's like, let's try this. Right. And it didn't feel like this guy was properly built up to become the GHC champion. It doesn't feel like he's coming into this title reign hot. It doesn't feel like people were clamoring for him to win the title, which means that his title reign is going to get off behind the eight ball right off the start. And it gets off. He's battling from behind before he even gets going because no one was ready for this or really wanting this and it didn't feel like he was properly built for this. But that's Noah. They had all eyes on them this time last year when Muto was finishing up, and they did nothing to build anyone while everyone was paying attention. While they were putting thousands and thousands of people in these buildings for these big shows with the Muto retirement shows, and they had a chance on the undercards to build new stars or get the ball rolling on some people, and they didn't do it. They didn't bother. And we warned everyone what would happen when Muto went away, and it has played out exactly as we thought it would. Here we are a year later, and they're barely putting 1,000 people into this Sendai building, and they're doing a title change that just comes out of nowhere for a guy that doesn't feel hot. A title change for the sake of doing one. And the more of those you do, the less important your title feels. We all know that's how it works. So, all right, maybe this guy will have a defense or two, and then he'll lose it to fucking Go Shiozaki. Pick a name out of a hat. That's what Noah does. Pick a name out of a hat, and someone will beat this guy. And that won't, it won't be anyone that was. Hey, the next challenger, Rich, is Jake Lee. So there you go. Just put it right back on Jake Lee.
Right.
Why not?
Great. Let's do the Jake Lee thing again. Yeah, he comes out and the crowd goes, they just kind of murmur as Jake Lee comes out, and it's like, okay, yep, sure, great, whatever. And even in the context of the match, like I said, it was like, Dr. Wagner does like a springboard moonsault, and the announcers are just kind of like, good, great moonsault out of 1, 2. Oh, all right, winner. Yeah, like the crowd had it felt very, I mean, just like the booking did, it felt very out of nowhere that he won this thing. So it's bizarre. And so, I mean, sometimes these work. Sometimes these risky title changes out of nowhere work.
This
but
isn't going to work.
It's not going to work. Right? That's I was building up to the idea that like, there's no way this is going to work. Right? It's just going to be like you said. It's Noah booking. So at some point, he's just going to lose this thing to insert Go Shiozaki, Kano, Jake Lee here, and then it's like, oh, okay, and then we just move on and life continues with Noah spinning in his wheel, spinning in the middle of nowhere.
The thing was, Kano was having a really good title reign, and I know we haven't been doing a ton of Noah early this year on the show, but I've been watching the matches, and he beat Jake Lee, and we did cover that. And then he had. Did you watch the Manabu Soya match or no?
I didn't. No, I did watch that one. No, I did watch that one. Yeah. That was great.
Yeah. He had the great match with Manabu Soya, and then did you see the Go Shiozaki match from Cork and Hall a week later? I
didn't see that one. People said that was really good, and I didn't see it.
Great match. It was a great match. And so from that standpoint, and by the way, that drew more in Korakuen than this match did in Sendai. I'm almost positive. Let me make sure that's right, because you know how people get. What did Sendai draw? It drew.
Sendai was 1,104.
Let me pull up that Go Shiozaki match that was January 13th, 11:39. 11:39. So, I mean, fuck, man, they did less than Korakuen in that Sendai building. That's not the plan when you. But, so Kano was having really good matches at minimum. And I got, 11:39 is not a bad number for Noah these days in Korakuen. I understand it's a GHC title match. And I like El Hidio del Doctor. I do. I really do like him. I talked him up all last year. This doesn't feel like it's going to be anything hot. This doesn't feel like you're rocket packing a guy that can catch on. It just feels like Noah is just doing shit to do shit like they always do. And when you look I watched this whole show, by the way. There's nothing happening. There's no one percolating. They're not setting anything up.
Next man up. There's not a next man up after Jake Lee. No. After Jake Lee, the next guy after Jake Lee is...
No. If you're wondering what Kaito Kiyomiya is up to, he's still teaming with Oiwa, right? They're still in the mid-card. And they beat Yoshinori Ogawa and this Yu Owada, who is a young guy worth keeping the eye on. I don't know if you've seen him. He's a rookie.
I think I have. Decent potential from what I saw. Like these guys. How young is he, though?
He's 23. He's going to...
Okay.
He's teaming with Kano in the tag league. So, they like him. And there's definitely something there. But my point here is Kiyomiya worked mid-card and then did a stare down with Yoshinori Ogawa after the match. Now, I don't know if they're going to have a match or if it was just a little post-match thing that's not going to lead to anything. But just the fact that I'm not sure whether Kaito Kiyomiya is going to have a mid-card feud with Yoshinori Ogawa should tell you what his current status is in the company these days, where I think that might be a possibility.
Right.
Like, I don't know if that stare down was meant to build to something or if it was just two pros, doing what they do after a match. The point is they do nothing with Kiyomiya. At this point, you have to just suspect.
Yeah, he's better booked in every other promotion. He's better booked in Dragon Gate and better booked in New Japan than he is in Noah.
I mean, barely, but yeah. But it has to be at this point that they suspect or that he told them, hey, look, I'm out of here as soon as I can be out of here. Because otherwise, it makes no fucking sense. Because Muto's gone now. So if it was Muto who had some stick up his ass about the guy, he's not a concern anymore. And he's still just on the fucking hamster wheel. And the thing is, I think Muto did like him. It's just Muto's ego is such that we all know he just doesn't ever want to lose to anybody. Because Muto was going to bring him to America to introduce him to Paul Levesque.
Right, to get him a job in WWE.
But the kid got a concussion or whatever, and he brought, who was it? Manabu Soya he brought instead?
No. It was... Kitamiya? yeah, exactly.
It's Kitamiya?
Masa Kitamiya, I think.
They're both short and stocky. Easy to get confused. But, so I don't know what the fuck. My point is, it's just there's nothing building underneath it. The shows feel lifeless. And, you know, the back end of this show wasn't that bad. You know, I swear to God, I'm not trying to trick you. Daga had a good match.
Oh,
Daga, Hajime Ohara.
I don't believe it.
I promise you it was a good match. Hajime Ohara, who's been in witness protection too. But they had him in a title match here, and I believe me, my expectations weren't high with Daga. The jaggiest jag that ever jagged. But I enjoyed it. And the tag match was really good. It may have been even better than the main event, you know, with the good-looking guys over Dragon Bane and Alpha Wolf. Jack Morris and Anthony Green. That, you know, neck and neck to me. The main event dragged a little, I thought. But did you see the main event?
The Noah match? Yeah.
I can't remember what you watched. Okay, so you saw
right.
Yeah,
I just saw the main event. Yeah, it wasn't. That's what I mean. Like it's happening, and you're like, all right, yeah, this is all right, yeah, okay. And then Wagner goes to the top, does that springboard moonsault, and the announcers are kind of like, good moonsault out of Wagner. 1, 2, 3, all right. You're like, what? Was that just a GHC? And the announcers are surprised, and the match did not feel like it was building to that moment. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like you were about to, you know, that, oh my God, something big's happening here. It really totally fell out of nowhere. And yeah, the match itself just didn't, I don't know. It wasn't bad, but it did not have a lot of juice. There was not much going on with it. Sleepy's a good way to put it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good match by the end, I thought, but it wasn't a great match. And it was easily the quote unquote worst of the Kano title matches, I thought. But yeah, the tag match was pretty good. But yeah, it's just a lifeless promotion. It's poorly booked. You don't have Muto to blame anymore. Like, it was easy to blame Muto when he was around for getting in the way of the booking, and you have to do what Muto says because he's Muto and all of that. The guy's been gone a year, and this promotion has just felt so rudderless, and All Japan blew right by him with a fraction of the budget in terms of drawing. And yeah, it's funny. It's like this big budget promotion with all this great production, and it's just the shows are dry as hell, and there's no direction.
There's nobody there.
There's no one there, and yeah,
it's just they're wrestling in an abyss of darkness because the arena always looks really good. Like, the setup's always really good. Man, the amount of money they must pay and spend to get these like giant elaborate sets, and the cameras look great, and everything looks good and sounds good, and then you look and they're just wrestling in this giant dark abyss, and it's like, man, I don't know. Like I said, there will be significantly more people that listen to this show, that listen to us right now talking, than we're at this show. Many times over than the 1,104 people that were at the Sendai Sun Plaza. That's not good. And I'll tell you, the budget for us to run this show, a lot cheaper than the budget to run Noah Crossover 2024 in Sendai. So, yeah, I don't know, man. And it looks like CyberFight. I think CyberFight's in a little bit of cost-cutting mode themselves. I don't know if you saw the thing about Genbari Pro or whatever. You know, kind of breaking away a bit. So, you know, similar. I think all these wrestling companies are kind of looking at this and going, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a shame. I mean, I wish Noah had more juice. Historically, it's one of my favorite companies, as people know. Or maybe they don't know, because it's been so long since I've really gotten into the old green ring. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just, look, we knew it was coming. Tried to tell people too.
We saw the train wreck coming and said, "No, turn."
Saw it coming.
Turn. No, you don't have to do this, and they did it. Yeah, and people told us, "No, it's good. It'll be good." And we're like, "All right." I mean, all the history says that this is what's going to happen, but sure, you know more than we do. That's fine. And then guess what happened? Exactly what we said was going to happen. So,
MLW.
Let's talk about MLW SuperFight. By the way, I do want to mention we talked about a little bit that we were going to mention this on the Tuesday bonus flagship, and then maybe we were going to punt it to this show. It's a story that's not going to go away, so I do want to talk about it some week, but it's the new sports streaming thing with Warner, Disney, and ESPN. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a certain show, because that has ramifications, I think, throughout. But that's a story that's not going away. So if people are saying, oh, you said you were going to talk about it on Tuesday, and then you said maybe on Thursday, we're not going to get to it today, but we will get to it at some point. But it's a big story, but it's not going away. So we have plenty of time to do that. But this is the only week we can cover MLW SuperFight 2024. And Joe, I hate to admit, I did not watch a second of MLW SuperFight 2024. I had plans on doing it, but this fucking WWE press event threw off my entire day, threw off my entire afternoon. I was ready to come home and watch the MLW SuperFight, and then I was watching this stupid thing, so I didn't see a single match. So I can lead you through the show if you want, or if you want to do a quick recap, whatever is best for you.
No, I'm not going to go huge detail. Look, what you missed was Satoshi Kojima shocking everyone, including every person in the building, and winning the MLW heavyweight title.
I am blown away that he beat Alex Kane. I'm blown away.
Well, so was everyone in the building, because he hit that Western Lariat, okay? And it was a pretty good match. I'd say maybe 3.5 or somewhere in that range. And it didn't overstay its welcome either. I felt like it was like, how long was that fucking match? Tell me how long.
11 minutes and 23 seconds. I guess I could have watched it. I thought it was going to be longer than that. Shit. If it was only 11 minutes, I have no excuse. What did I not watch that for?
He hit that Western Lariat, and I can promise you that no one in that building knew that that was his finish, because it got no reaction. And I'm like, and while the ref's counting, I'm like, oh my God, he's going to win. And it's like, he fucking won. Because no one kicks out of the Western Lariat.
No, it's the strongest arm, man. You can't kick out of that shit.
And then when the ref counted 3, it was like you saw fans putting their hands on their head and looking at each other, because they couldn't believe that Alex Kane lost to Kojima. And I feel like a lot of them weren't familiar with his finish, because he hit that Western Lariat. They all should have really known what was coming and stood up and been ready. And he fucking won that title. And, yeah, and then Yuji Nagata came out with double-fisted with 2 beers, and Okamura was the corner man, because they had the CMLL guys in. So Okamura was there, and he was the corner man. And, Nagata came out with the beers, and Kojima gave a speech, and he was like, I am sorry, my English shit. But, and everyone's laughing, and he's like, but I enjoy beer and I enjoy bread, and he's fucking chugging beer, and he's, and I noticed that Okamura, Nagata, he likes his beer. Trust me on that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Oh, that dude, every time he wins a match, the first thing he gets is a beer. Yeah, when that man was the Triple Crown champion, he put down a couple of, lot of beers in those post-match pressers when he was Triple Crown champion, All Japan.
I feel like Okamura is a teetotaler. He was toasting, but he wouldn't take a sip. I was paying attention to that. He wasn't, he had a big smile on his face, but he wouldn't drink the beer. But, yeah, they were into it once the shock wore off that he won the title. And his first defense is Minoru Suzuki on the next big show. They announced that match beforehand, before he won the title, and then he won the title, and now that's a title match. So, I mean, it was a shocking title change. I didn't expect Alex Kane to lose to Kojima, and they fucking did it. So, 2-time MLW world champion Satoshi Kojima. He was a champ back in 2003 or whatever the fuck it was. So,
yeah, the original. Yeah, the original MLW. So, great. Cool.
They had Mystico versus Averno. You're going to be shocked, but it was an MLW match that wasn't as good as it looked on paper.
Yep. That these two men could have a match better in most other countries and probably be really good, and then here it wasn't.
It was good, though. It was good enough, and Averno works hard, and he's part of Selena De La Renta's heel crew and all that. And Mystico was cornered by Cesar Duran, El Jefe, because they still had that promo, that fucking Azteca fucking warfare shit. The Lucha Underground.
Drop that shit. Nobody cares about that. Move on.
They can't call it Lucha Underground, so they call it Promo Azteca or whatever the fuck they call it. And well, Rich, if you want them to drop that, I have other news for you. Contra is back.
Oh, no. And, no, why?
Yes.
Who asked for Contra? Who asked for Contra?
Well, not only is Contra back, but Mads Kruger is back.
Oh, no. God.
So I thought we were done with that fucking guy.
Mads Kruger?
Mads Kruger, I swear to God, he came out on this show. Look, so you've got Mr. Saint Laurent and his World Titan Federation. That's still going on. You've got Contra back with Mads Kruger. You've got Cesar Duran with the wannabe Lucha Underground shit. And you've got Selena De La Renta with Jose Rodriguez and all those guys doing their little heel group too. You have these,
and you have the Sami Callihan thing. I don't know.
The Sami yes,
right,
right, with the guys with the gas masks and shit. Yeah. So But listen, Satoshi Kojima's the world champ. So
you know what?
I'm
down.
Bad.
I'm down. Yeah, fuck it. Why not?
So Jacob Fatu beat Yuji Nagata, and then he is now officially a free agent. So they did send him out with a win, but we see what happens. Now he's got the criminal record and, a little shady. Bobby Fish is coming in for the next show, at least. I don't know if full time or anything like that, but so Jacob Fatu in, Bobby Fish out. I've got a couple contract season things that I could hit real quick too when we're done with this, but Davey Boy Smith Jr. beat Manders in a very bloody match, and he was licking the blood off of his head. It was disgusting. This show actually wasn't that bad, but he has now hit the point in his career where he's wrestling in jeans with the work boots.
He's like his dad. Oh no, that's not good because his dad died 2 years after that. So I don't love that.
And by the way, in a few months, he'll be the same age as Dad was when his dad died. Can you believe that?
I guess months. I can't believe that, actually. I've been watching Davey Boy Smith Jr. for a very long time.
Yeah, that's right. He will turn 39 in a few months, and his dad died at 39. And he's now wrestling in the jeans with the work boots and the white socks rolled up under the same look that his dad had. I don't know if that's intentional. But he's doing he's with Mr. Saint Laurent with the World Titan Federation, and he's doing a bloodthirsty brawler kind of gimmick now. And he beat Manders pretty definitively. And like I said, he was licking his blood, and it was really a different kind of Davey Boy Smith Jr. And then they did a death match later with Callahan and Akira. That feud's been going on.
I can't believe Akira lost again. Did it? Because they have beaten that guy a lot. I think it's time he gets a win, right?
I mean, I don't know. I see Callahan just got there, so maybe.
I guess that's my point. I wouldn't have brought in Sami Callihan, but I guess if you're right, if you just bring in Sami Callihan, you need him to at least get a win right away. But yeah, I feel like it's time for Akira to maybe get a couple W's, but whatever.
And Rocky Romero, that was the opener. He beat Ichiban. 2 out of 3 falls. It was fine. I don't know. I don't like Ichiban. I think you like him better.
I think he's okay. You hate him. I think he's okay. I don't. Some people think he's good. I don't. I don't think he's good. For the record, I just I don't know.
A super fight wasn't bad. I got to be honest. It was a wholly watchable show. I thought the main event was pretty good, and obviously I'm a huge Kojima fan, so I have no problem with him winning the title. Now, Intimidation Games is back. They're going to New York. That's Kojima, Minoru Suzuki, and they're doing Rocky Romero versus Mystico for the middle MLW middleweight title. So they will have a match 2/3 as good as it would be in Arena Mexico on that show, without question. Then they're in St. Petersburg for War Chamber, and then they're coming to Cicero in May.
Okay.
But
what?
It's Azteca Lucha. It's
okay. It makes sense in that market. Cicero, that's not a bad spot to do that. I'll probably go to that show. That actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah. You would rather probably just see a regular show, but for the market, they're doing the right thing.
Yeah. They're definitely doing the right thing there.
Is the point here. So MLW chugs along, and
the Swink is saying that Raven also came back after the Sami Callihan Akira
he
match.
did. I forgot about that. Yes, Raven did.
Just what I wanted in 2024. Yeah. Scott Levy. I'm so glad. Great.
Yeah. Well, he's been in and out of MLW. It's not like he's.
I don't need Scott Levy at all in 2024. I'm good.
Oh, the other thing is no Matt Striker, which was notable.
Oh my God.
They had it was Dombrowski with Christian Cole.
I'm not familiar with Christian Cole. Yeah, I'm not familiar.
He was fine. It just, anything's better than Striker. But after Striker, had that Riddle diatribe, they may have cut bait with him. I don't know. But anyway, a few contract season notes that I didn't get to last week. Hiromu Takahashi and Yoshihashi re-signed with New Japan. That was official. This one we didn't get to last month, but Kevin Knight was one of the dojo boys who did leave. Remember, a lot of them were teasing that their contracts were up.
Yeah.
We forgot to bring it up, but Kevin Knight is out, so he's no longer with New Japan.
Okay.
So, Mustafa Ali announced a strategic alliance with TNA and New Japan. So read into that however you would like. I don't know what. I guess that just means he's going to take freelance dates with those two companies moving forward. Talked about Camille. WWE talks have stalled. Looks like AEW potentially. We talked about Bobby Fish. I don't know if he's signed, but he's definitely working the next set of shows.
Yeah, I thought they said something about appearances. Like he's agreed to a number of appearances or whatever. So I don't know if it's a full sign. It's MLW.
Sounds like he's not, because if he was signed, they would say he's signed. So my guess is he's working the New York shots, and then they go from there. Jacob Fatu is officially a free agent. Mm-hmm. And here's one for you. Here's a little exclusive. Not a huge one. But someone from your neck of the woods, Stephen Wolf.
Yeah.
Going to Rev Pro.
Interesting.
Rev Pro.
Interesting.
Yeah, they booked him for.
Now he's been doing a lot of Texas stuff, because I believe his lady is Texas based. So he moved
to Texas.
I think he full time moved to Texas, right? But she's also high on, by the way, is who the lady is, if you did not know. Yes. And she's done a lot of Rev Pro shots as well. So it's kind of interesting that they're now bringing him over there. So that makes sense. That's a good spot for him. That's a really, really good spot for him. He's a lot better than people think, or if people haven't seen him in a couple of years, he's pretty damn good. So that's a good spot for him.
So High Stakes is on the 18th. That's Osprey Oku.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's Osprey's farewell for now or whatever. It's not that show. I'm almost positive it's going to be the 25th. The Live in Sheffield is where Stephen Wolf is going to make his debut. So if they haven't announced that yet, and I don't think they have, they might be waiting for High Stakes to start announcing stuff for Sheffield. That might be what it is. We should probably talk about High Stakes next week. And there is a lot of buzz around the Trent Seven. What match was it? It was Connor Mills and Trent Seven. People are saying it was incredible. So that was from the 4th, live in London. So I'm going to have to catch up with that match at some point. But we'll get Rev Pro back in the mix next week. I'm going to catch up on Rev Pro. We're going to preview High Stakes, because that's a big show.
Absolutely.
With Osprey Oku. We'll do that next week. Shingo Gabe Kidd is on that show. Luke Jacobs, JJ Gale.
It's time to get back to Rev Pro. Mills. Yeah, it's time to dust off Rev Pro and get back in.
We've been so busy with everything else, but next week we'll get back in the mix. But the 25th, I'm almost positive that's where Wolf is going to debut. But yeah, he's been down here in Texas doing really good work, and you probably nailed the connection. They'll probably both be on that show.
Yeah, 'cause she's done quite a few Rev Pro spots. For
I think so, right?
For a while. Yeah, I'm almost positive she's done Rev Pro.
Yeah. So, all last year she worked a ton of Rev Pro.
Okay, so I was right. I remember seeing her matches with Alex Windsor and stuff like that. So
she had that feud with Alex Windsor, last summer.
Right.
So, and she was in the Copper Box, the fucking Mickey James hardcore country match.
Oh god damn it, you're right.
Right?
I've tried to get rid of that out of my brain forever. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. Well,
yeah, okay, there it is. The hardcore country match was Alex Windsor, High End, and Mickey James. So, Copper Box weekend of All Out,
All In Wembley. All Out was in Chicago. But one less.
That's a big time show.
That's a bit, yeah. One less thing.
Something else?
I got one more thing. Then we'll leave. I'm going to Dreamwave this Saturday. Hell of a card for Dreamwave here. The aforementioned Stephen Wolf will be on that show, so maybe I can ask him what's going on here if I get a chance to run into him. But yeah, it looks like a hell of a show. You got Vic Capri versus Jay Fowler. Yes, Vic Capri's still hanging around, still wrestling. Man's retired like 9 times. Can't let it go. Still looks like $1 million. Can still outwork everybody, like most of the people that wrestle in the world. Vic Capri could still do that, so that's interesting there. Mike Bennett and the Hype versus Those Damn Coyotes. That's more of a local crew, if you don't know about that. But it has one of my favorite dumb jock wrestler potential guys, Hunter Holcraft. I've talked about him before. He comes out in wrestling gear and amateur wrestling gear. He's going to be teaming with Mike Bennett there. The Colt Cabana's Boom Boom Invitational Scramble. Who the hell knows? Is going to show up there. J-Rod versus Sawyer Wreck. Well, they're not all winners. Alex Shelley versus Stephen Wolf. That'll be a pretty good match there. Excited about that one. Mm-hmm. Zeta Steel versus Rebecca J. Scott. So just a few of the women's matches there. Wasted Youth versus Bang and Matthews. That's another crew that if a little bit more local guys. Penta, Vikingo, Gringo Loco, and Mustafa Ali. 4-way match. Should be Pretty wild.
That's wacky.
And then your main event is Christian Rose versus Josh Alexander. Yes, Christian Rose still hanging around, still great. He's the Dreamwave champion. He'll be facing Josh Alexander in the main event.
All right.
So I'll have something on the Patreon for that. Probably not audio, probably a written thing. We'll see what happens. But anytime I go to an indie show, I like to at least come back with some sort of live event thoughts or something like that. So you'll get something on the Patreon, flagshippatreon.com, talking about that show. So look forward to that on Saturday. So that is it for us. We are done here. Bonus Flagship again. If you want to listen to us break down how great WWE is doing with the WrestleMania plan, that happened 2 days ago. Many things have changed since then. We also talked about Rossy Ogawa leaving Stardom. So if you're like, hey, they didn't talk about that, we did talk about that on Tuesday. That is available there at flagshippatreon.com, as well as the Thursday Dynamite review that you do every single week. Some bonus retro audio as well. I got a brand new series on the history and the career of Sting. As he's winding things down here in March. I got my Brett versus Owen series I'm still doing, written content, live stuff, instant reactions, all that stuff is available over there at flagshippatreon.com. So make sure you subscribe to that, flagshippatreon.com again, or patreon.com/voices of wrestling, however you want to get there. But yeah, I think that's it. Voicesofwrestling.com for previews, reviews, columns, and we're out of here. So that is Joe. I'm Rich. We'll talk to you next time on the Flagship Podcast. Take care.
Hey everybody, my name is Jesse Collins, and I want to tell you all about my show, the Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast, here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. On the Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast, we do a thorough analysis on the biggest issues and trends within the pro wrestling industry. We talk a lot about pro wrestling media, we talk a lot about fan culture and wrestling's place within general pop culture, and we talk about the broader influences that are shaping the way we discuss and analyze the pro wrestling industry. We've had some of the brightest minds in the pro wrestling intelligentsia on the show, including WrestleNomics host Brandon Thurston, both Rich Craich and Joe Lanza from the Flagship Wrestling Podcast, Trevor Dame from the Through the Years podcast, and a whole lot more. This isn't a show for hot takes. It's not a show recapping the latest episode of television. This is a show focusing on the biggest topics in pro wrestling and doing a deep dive on the real stories behind the surface level analysis you might find elsewhere. The Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts, and we'd really appreciate it if you gave us a try. Thanks.